Well, hello, hello, everyone. It has been... Oh, I am tall. It has been a fine week. Been a busy week, in fact. I mean, I've been doing a lot of stuff, you know? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed the week. Hopefully everyone's had fun, you know? I've had a lot of stuff happen to me this week. You know, it was the last week of my psych rotation, and I did a lot of things, took some exams. I'm tired as shit. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome welcome all to the stream, those who are chilling in here. Yeah, so just a few things I always want to get over before, you know, I start the stuff we're doing today. Again, as you know, I'm King Bry. Monami Starling is on the screen here. She's my little VTuber character that I chat with, speak through, you know, because I am a lazy fucking piece of crap. But yeah. Welcome everybody to the stream. Hope you all are doing all right. I'm gonna open up VS Code. That's why I'm stalling right now, because I literally just got on in a rush like always, and I'm setting up my shit. Hello there, Mephi, and all those in the chat. If you guys want to chat, if you guys want to lurk, feel free to vibe. But semi-lurk, all right, sounds good. Hiko, welcome to the stream. Welcome in, welcome in. You see, the one thing that I always am happy about, right, and I'm very happy about now. I refuse to say, Maddie, you refuse to speak. All right, then. One thing that I always like is, you know, when people show up to chat. I obviously don't push any of you to show up chat. I could just speak to myself. I love yapping, you know, but it's always fun. So I appreciate every single one of you for pulling up, chilling with me in the night, you know. Obviously not an opportune time for a few of you because it's, you know, like 9 in the fucking night and probably late for you guys. I know some of y'all are on night shift, but hopefully I can provide you some entertainment today. So let's talk about the fun stuff, okay? All right, so here's my blank browser window. I know you guys love this. We're gonna fix that. So yeah, there are quite a few things I want to talk about today and tomorrow. So interesting turn of events is that, you know, I have time to stream for 2 days in a row. Yay. I hope everyone's happy about that because I am. I could yap more. So here's what we're going to be talking about. I actually outlined it on Twitter, but I'm going to type it here. We're first going to talk about some new advancements in AI and LLMs and cancer, right? The disease that everybody dislikes. So cancer with AI. Something pretty interesting happened. I do want to talk about it since I'm a medical student and I want to, and I think I would have a unique perspective on things like this since I'm a medical student and I work with AI. So yeah. The other thing is Windows 10. Oops. Death. And why is Windows 11 bad, right? This is a hot topic that I talked about. I politely asked on Twitter and my Discord, you know. Hopefully it didn't come off as condescending. I genuinely want to know what was going on there. But yeah, so we have that. And then the next thing we have, let me just look at my Twitter here just to make sure I got it all. Yada, yada, yada. Oh, yeah, Meta's tech demo. So we're going to cover Meta's tech demo tomorrow because I have a lot to talk about there as well. And finally, we'll be doing a small website tweak where I'm going to be migrating my website from Next.js to Astro. And I'm going to see, like, is it a good idea? And I'll talk about that more when we get to it. So this is just a little outline as to what we're doing today. And in my own fashion, I haven't pulled up any articles, so we're going to look up some stuff. So what was the name of this model? So basically, what happened with the AI and LLMs thing, I'm going to do it here because my iPad's off, is that a LLM, a 27B LLM, by the way, just made a drug that treats cancer, which is pretty fucking cool. Theorized a drug treat cancer. And we're gonna look up what the what it's all about, right? So let me just look this up real quick. And if you guys, you know, want to chat about your day and stuff like that, or ask me any questions about the rotation I just did, which is psychiatry, let me know. Personally happy to be out of it, but I know some people will be sad that they won't be hearing any psych content from me anymore. All right, so Gemma 27B cancer. And always, if the music is too loud, just let me know, okay? Oh, yo, well, Google made a blog post. That's perfect. All right, so let me show this. Okay, let's see if everything looks good. Yep. So it kind of makes sense that Google would make a blog post about it. You don't hear any music? I did not hear any music. What the oh. How's this? Oh, yeah. It's very quiet. Okay, I'll bring it up. My fault. Yeah, I don't know how deep decibel levels work sometimes. Okay, are we good? Let me just lower my sound on my system. There we go. Okay, perfect. Nice. Okay, so loud. I'm gonna lower my speakers because it is loud on my end. There we go. Now it should be good. There was recently a fine-tuned cell-to-sentence Gemma 227B for some bioscience with some very specific use format. So I wonder if this thing can even be quantized properly, if it needs to be rather precise, like good with doing biochemistry of 4-bit. Yeah, so Mephi, you know, you did a nice lead-in, right? So the model that we're going to be talking about today is cell-to-sentence 27B. This is the one that actually discovered the cancer therapy pathway. And I think I talked about quantization in a different stream about lossy versus lossless compression. That's what quantization is, right? It's a lossy compression format. So it'd be interesting to see the degradation over time, the degradation based on the quantization and seeing if we can actually run it in practice. But let's go over the article real quick. So Google basically collaborated with Yale and they released a model called cell-to-sentence scale 27B. So this is oh, I didn't know this existed. So apparently there's an ArcSiv for biology, which is pretty cool. We'll look at that later. But yeah, so a new 27 billion parameter foundation model designed to understand the language of individual cells. Now, when it comes to like the language of individual cells, that's kind of, you know, interesting because the language of cells really is genes, right? So DNA, your cellular instructions, how things are transcribed, how things are expressed, you know, all of it is in your epigenetics, DNA, whatever. So I'll talk about that in a second, but it is interesting to think, like, the language of cells, what do they mean by that? What was the training corpus? You get what I'm saying? If you guys know, just let me know, but that's what I'm kind of going back and forth on. Nevertheless, so we got milestone AI case. Yeah, okay, so this launch built upon our work from earlier this year. What that is. What'd they do? Ah, okay, so I'm correct. Sort of. So basically, this is made of single-cell RNA sequencing, so you're measuring the gene expression. So these models are utilizing genes and being trained on them to determine what can be interacted with. Okay, very helpful there. All right. That's pretty cool, right? Like utilizing our genetic blueprint as training data so that we can utilize all these computer algorithms to figure out new pathways that humans possibly overlooked. Like one example, and I think Hiko would enjoy this one, is in radiology. I did shadow a physician who is big in radiology, right? And we were looking at a neuro MRI together, and something that was like very, very small, like a microstroke, right? He couldn't find that. I don't think any human would have found that, even like the most trained radiologist. But in algorithm, in a, what is it, image recognition, a pattern recognition model, right? It found that microstroke like super tiny, and it just found it. So that's really nice as a way to augment, you know, radiology scans. Obviously, it's not going to be as amazing as an actual radiologist, but it definitely can help, right? So that's what I personally like LLMs and AI and stuff for enhancing. I say this all the time, but for like enhancing human work, not replacing it, but more so enhancing it into, you know, this is something that's pretty cool. Okay, let me just open up my iPad. I'm just gonna, oh Jesus. Let me just show you all of this stuff. 1 second, guys. That's not it. And here it is. Now let me share my screen. This is the problem with the iPad. It becomes a pain in the ass to run it on Windows. And I'll talk about Windows in a bit, don't you worry. I know a lot of people want to hear me yap about that shit. I'm more than happy to. Because I did piss some people off. Okay, here we go. So let's talk about the genetic code of the cell, right? So here's your cell, right? This is the nucleus here. Here's the powerhouse of the cell, right? Everybody loves the mitochondria. But inside the nucleus, you have, you know, the double helix of DNA. Kind of looks like this. Okay? Oh, what the hell? We got an ad break already? Man. All right, I'll let the ad break run. This is the problem with Twitch. As always, we got ad breaks. I apologize for those. I'll restart the segment once the ad break finishes. But yeah, just let me know if you guys want to yap about anything during the breaks. Again, I usually use this time for questions, like if anybody who is able to skip the ads likes to, you know, yap about some questions that they have, then feel free. Oh, God. Anyways, so let me just... Here we go. Perfect. See, here's the thing, like, I've been hella busy in life. Like, it's been crazy. I've been emailing people. I've been running around the entire fucking area that I'm in. Like, I have to drive a long time. And it's just been an insane week. I'm so glad I have some time to just decompress and rest. Like, after every exam that I do, I just have like 2 days of nothing because I don't have to study for anything, right? I mean, I can prepare for the next rotation, but I don't have to study. So that's really nice. So I just got like 2 days of break, including so today, tomorrow, Sunday. Good. Really fun. And I'm glad I get to enjoy it with you guys, you know? That's pretty nice. Yeah, break. Yeah, let's go, dude. Let's go, Hika. Hell yeah. I know you're not having a break, but I'm sorry about that. Unless you are on a break. I know. Oh, okay, ad's done. All right, so let's talk about the cell. So we got the nucleus, we got the mitochondria, so that's the powerhouse of the cell. We're gonna be focusing on the nucleus. So cellular instructions are generally written as genes, right? So these are in your DNA. And these are specific sections in your DNA that do certain things. These can either be turned on or turned off by mechanisms such as acetylation or methylation. That's called epigenetics. So all these genes get wrapped up into a chromosome and the chromosome gets acetylated. The chromosomes tend to look like this, and areas can be acetylated and methylated. But what Gemma basically trained on is RNA. So RNA is single-stranded, right? So whenever you want to take instructions out of the nucleus, you have to convert it into RNA, and that RNA gets converted into proteins, amino acids, but proteins, right? And these proteins can become signals, they can become structures, etc. So basically, all of the instruction is done at the DNA level, while the RNA level is like the actual instruction. It gets spliced and everything happens. So this is probably why Google trained on RNA sequences instead of DNA sequences, because rather than a whole glob of everything, RNA is just a trimmed instruction. So basically what we can do is we can investigate these pathways and find new ways to mess around with different disease states. So that's pretty cool. Let's look into the article a bit more. All right. Okay, here we go. So that's what the work was. So how C2S scale 27b works. A major change challenging cancer immunotherapy is that many tumors are cold, invisible to the body's immune system. A key strategy is to make them hot, to force them to display immune-triggering signals through a process called antigen presentation. I'll talk about that because I'm very, very into immunology myself. We gave our new C2S scale 27b a task. Find a drug that acts as a conditional amplifier, one that would boost the immune signal only in a specific immune context-positive environment, where low levels of interferon were already present but inadequate to induce antigen presentation on their own. This required a level of conditional reasoning that appeared to be an emergent capability, yada yada yada. Okay. So to accomplish this, we designed a dual context virtual screen to find the synergistic effect. So let me just explain this in a more simple way. Pretty much, the immune cell, you're basically tumors, they're invisible to the immune system, right? The goal of this model is to find a way to make that tumor visible to the immune system, because once something that's foreign is visible to the immune system, it'll attack, right? So that's what we want to do. So yeah, that's essentially what this is saying. This is just a fancy way of saying, hey, let's just make a LLM that gives us the pathway to trigger an immune response. That's it. Okay? So then we then simulated the effect of 4,000 drugs across both contexts and asked the model to predict which drugs would only boost antigen presentation. Okay, so yeah. They essentially found there's a lot of drugs for cancer, right? And believe me, it's a pain in the ass to learn about them. Like, genuinely, I feel like half of the fucking drugs are just made up names that are just like, what in the actual shit am I looking at? Like, there's doxorubicin. I mean, methotrexate is the one that's the most popular. You know, it inhibits dietrophoate reductase. Doxorubicin, methotrexate. What is it? Oh, fuck. I forgot the one. There's something Uracil? Man, taking psychic damage. I think every medical student has psychic damage from this. It's insane. Oncologists are crazy. I'm not doing that shit in my life, so okay. But yes, so there are a bunch of drugs, and there's a lot of immunotherapies. And you know, some of them like tacrolimus, sirolimus. That's another one. Calcineurin inhibitor. Anyways, I'm being nerdy. All good. So yeah, a bunch of these simulated drugs were already found in previous studies and are probably being used today. And the remaining drugs that were found are surprise hits. So the model's predictions are clear. It identified a striking context split for the kinase CK2 inhibitor called slim itacid. See, this is the problem I have with drugs, man. Hey, old mate, what's up? You want to come in to clarify something? Oh, yeah, please tell me. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Just let me know. RNA is the act. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Yeah, of course. That's what I was saying with like the instructions. DNA is the instructions, right? It's everything. It's everything. But RNA crunches things down, and it's basically putting the instruction into one pocket. That's essentially what I learned in biology, right? So it's like splitting out. It's basically go through the transcription process, much more complex than DNA. That is true, but at the same time, I feel like it's a little simpler. Because, you know, in DNA, you have so many more instructions. And then in RNA, it's just like one instruction, right? I mean, one instruction, make this damn protein and do the thing, I don't know. And I guess like RNA can make multiple proteins if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm a medical student, not a biologist, so please let me know. But if it is much more complex than DNA, I'll definitely take your word from it for sure. From it for sure. I can't speak. I know RNA has like the cap, 5-point cap, poly-A tail, all that. God, I haven't done genetics in so long. Oh man, but thank you for the validation, old mate. Much appreciated. Nevertheless, and again, it still drives the point home. That's why Google trained on RNA versus DNA. It's way more specific in that sense. So, don't do drug kit. Oh my god. Yep. Drugs are great. I did a test on a bunch of them. God. Alright, anyways. So let's talk about slimitasertib. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Whenever you have the IB, it usually means like an antibody. There's like a MAB. That's like a monoclonal antibody. So when you see like abdalumab, which is Humira, that's a monoclonal antibody. A lot of pharm drugs are basically prefixes and suffixes, and if you know the suffix, you'll know what the class of the drug does at the very least. Except something like, actually, never mind. We're not gonna talk about risperidone. It's not risperidone. Sorry, rituximab is another antibody that can be used for cancer. God, all of it's coming out, man. Anyways, so the new drug predicted a strong increase in antigen presentation when the new drug was applied in the immune context positive, but little to no effect in the immune context neutral one, which is good, right? Because whenever it's neutral, you don't want to attack. So although CK2 yada yada yada, it's a modulator of the immune system, inhibiting CK2 has not been reported in the literature to enhance MHC1 expression. That highlights the model that is generating a new testable hypothesis. Okay, so I want to go a bit in depth now because I feel like this is a bit confusing, especially to those who are not initiated with the immunology aspect of things. So let's go over it, all right? It's part of my bread and butter. I love immuno. I love the immune system. It's like so much fun. So let's talk about antigen presentation. Let me read that in a second. Okay. So most protein coding genes produce on average 8 different transcriptional isoforms. So every cell type regulates the specific isoforms of RNA being produced in a specific amount of. That is true. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I forgot about that. I didn't really go into depth about that because it's like or surface level. But that's a good thing to talk about. Yeah. How do I'm not sure how to say it. Feel free to tell me more in chat. I'm always down to learn more. But isoforms are very interesting in that regard, because yeah, like they could code for, you know, different things, and yeah. sorry. They can code for different things, and RNA can have all of them. That I actually didn't know, so thanks for telling me about that. Okay. C2S Gemma license CC by somehow. Code CC by NC. What the fuck? Creative Commons is a bit liberal here, huh? I know I only know Creative Commons. That's it. I don't know what the by stand for. I have to look into licensing in that sense, but yeah. There's a significant amount of emergent complexity in the transcriptome space, which is why Google focused on this. I'll let you finish, sorry. But yeah, CC, Creative Commons is very interesting. Well, start drawing out the... I need to remember how it's done in a second, guys. Okay. So... By requires mentioning authors, NC is not... Oh, okay. We typically use the information in the RNA to... Okay, so there's a significant amount of emergent complexity in the transcriptome space, which is why Google focused on this, and why we typically use the information in the RNA to determine tissue and origin of pathology. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, that's a good idea. Hey, Gary, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. I can tell my telomeres are getting shorter. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. You know, your telomeres are always getting shorter, except if you're in cancer, because you got telomerase, and then it's just like, you know, it stays alive forever. There's a lot of stuff in cancer. I didn't think I'd draw a bunch of stuff about that, but yeah, old mate. Anyways, that RNA stuff is interesting. So based on the isoform of the RNA that was produced and subsequent protein, then we can determine what tissue is being used. That is very interesting. That I did not know, so thank you for updating me on that. Okay, so let's go over antigen presentation here. Solution become a VTuber. Never lose those pesky telomeres. Hey, the person behind the screen is losing them every single second of the day, you know? Monami is forever 21, but I am... Jesus Christ. We don't talk about that. I'm not that much older, but I am dumb. Good stream as a cancer... Oh, you're a cancer person. That makes a lot of sense. That makes... Okay, that's why you know so much about this. Yeah, I'm not as much of a gene person. As you know, I'm a medical student. So anything genetics related was thrown out the window like a year ago. Except for like those random syndromes we gotta memorize, like Downs, Fragile X, fetal alcohol. Fetal alcohol is not really genetic, but it's still like one of those inherent, still one of those diseases that can occur. That's like, what the fuck is this? Using ST makes telomeres longer. ST, oh, you mean like the Silly Tavern? Or something else? I don't know where you came from, I'm sorry. If you're talking about Silly Tavern, then yeah, it definitely does. Yep, okay, fair enough. Alright, so let's talk about antigen presentation. This is a core topic in immunology. So let's say we have a normal cell. I'm not going to go into the different types of MHC, so we have the normal cell. Right? And every normal cell contains a protein, right? It's called MHC1, or Major Histocompatibility Complex 1. Right, so let's say a normal cell gets infected by something. Okay, so we get a virus. We get the flu. So we get the virus, and it does its shit. And we get some breakdown. So this is like an antigen piece. So we're gonna call it A. The antigen... Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't write. Antigen gets presented on this flag here, and this is MHC1. So then your immune cells are like, la-di-da-di-da, I'm walking around the body. So we're just gonna say like a T cell, CD8, right? Your cytotoxic T cells are like, la-di-da-di-da, I'm gonna wander around the body. I can bind to this, la-la-la-la-la-la. Uh-oh, we've bound. Uh-oh, we're gonna start attacking this virus. It is mad. So CD8 basically goes around and gives this cell a nice ritual of death. Right, so it's gone. That's basically how MHC1 works. I'd make a histone joke, but that would be kind of basic. Oh man, you science people are funny. Science people are so funny. Oh my god. But yes, that's essentially how MHC works. So basically what MHC1 does, or the MHCs in general, they basically are flags from different cells signaling that they're infected. And then since they're infected, what ends up happening is the immune cell recognizes. And then, depending on the type of cell, let's say it's a cytotoxic T cell, it causes death. So yeah, that's essentially how the MHC protein works. Do you guys understand that? I know I kind of explained it a bit quickly, but I just wanted to, give some context as to how MHC and all of those that specific immune system pathway works. I mean, there's obviously more, right? There's the whole validation cascade for any of the science people in chat, but I'm not talking about that just for, to not blow your brains up. And also there's MHC2, it's its own thing. But yeah, there's also interferon, which is actually much simpler. Basically, interferon is a distress signal. There's 3 types of interferon, alpha, beta, gamma, but we're gonna focus on just interferon in general. So let's say we have the cell, and again, it has our virus. So as a result, we have our neighboring cell here, a little neighbor. Okay, so let's say we have the virus, and the cell's like, oh my god, I'm being infected. So what it does is it releases interferon to the neighboring cell to tell the neighbor, I'm infected, help! And the neighbor defends itself as much as it possibly can. But, viruses are sneaky, and they will replicate as much as possible. That's why there is a bacteria streamer, and I constantly threaten her with antibiotics because, a lot of pathological bacteria is bad for you. But there's also good bacteria, so that's a fun part. Nevertheless, sorry guys. I just want to go on a little, tangent about that fun stuff. But yeah, hopefully that makes things a little bit clearer. If you guys do want to know more, ask me a question. I'd be happy to talk about it. Okay, so what we need to do here is enhance MHC1 expression or antigen presentation, saying that, hey, there's something wrong with me. Please attack me, kill me. But yeah, so now we got a new drug. All right, so a prediction, however, is only valuable if it can be validated. So this is where Yale comes into play and actually validates the study. My jokes are so specific that they are Wow, bro, that's crazy. You're monoclonal? Bro, I'm just a clown. I'm sorry. But yeah, good joke, I like that one. All right. So we take the hypothesis to the lab bench and test it in human neuroendocrine cell models, a cell type that was completely unseen by the model during training. One interesting part about neuroendocrine cancers, I feel like one of them is the most interesting. So you can get this tumor, right, in your gut. So let me just draw some intestines here. This is your small intestine, and here's your large intestine. So there's a tumor. It's going to be inaccurate, obviously, called a carcinoid tumor. Right, so a carcinoid tumor releases, it's so interesting because you never know that something is a carcinoid tumor unless you properly look into it. It releases serotonin. Right, so that's a neurotransmitter in your body. And that serotonin will cause non-specific symptoms. It's a neuroendocrine tumor, meaning that it acts on the nervous system and also an part of the endocrine system. So you're gonna get symptoms like flushing, sweating or diaphoresis. You might get GI motility issues, and etc. Right? So a lot of physicians at first glance would see this and think oh, I mean, this is just some sort of non-specific GI problem, or maybe some sympathetic overactivation, right? So it could be something like that, but actually it's a tumor. It's just a tumor that's acting by just releasing excess serotonin, causing you to have all of these extra symptoms, which is, I don't know. I find neuroendocrine tumors super interesting. Personally, if you ever read Pathoma by Dr. Hussein Sattar, he talks a lot about, you have to usually read Pathoma in medical school, but he talks a lot about these tumors, and I highly recommend, watching the videos, reading the book if you're ever interested in just a basic overview. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Carcinoid tumors are sick. Read an article about a guy who claimed he cured his cancer with breast milk. Okay, I'm gonna have to look at that one. Forward that to me in Discord. I'll take a look at it myself. That's interesting. What the fuck? Okay, let's continue looking at the drug, though, because this is so fucking cool. So, we took the hypothesis and tested it. Yeah, okay. So, the neuroendocrine model wasn't tested. So, I guess, like Old Maid said, this probably had an isoform of RNA that wasn't, you know, properly tested in the AI training. But we'll see. So, treating the cells with the drug alone had no effect. Okay, so treating the cells with a low dose of interferon had a modest effect. Treating them with both produced a marked synergistic amplification. Okay, so yeah, it's not the drug itself that's causing this to work. It's the fact that the interferon signaling is helping produce that extra antigen presentation, which is interesting. I guess the interferon is priming the cell like, hey, something is wrong. And then next thing you know, you get the drug and it's like, oh, dear Christ, we're going to present this thing immediately. And now that the cancer is hot, so when it comes to cancerous cells, right, it's a little bit different than viruses. So cancerous cells, they can't exactly be recognized by, you know, CD8 T cells, because the unfortunate part is that cancer is your own cell, technically. Right, so it's able to recognize self just fine, but the problem is, you know, we need to tell it like, hey, there's a problem. So we're gonna, you know, they're gonna do the same antigen presentation. But the main cancer, if you probably saw cells at work, but the main cell that recognizes cancer is a natural killer cell. These guys are the backbone of it. And these are a form of T cell, right? There are 5 types of T cells. This guy can recognize cancer. If you remember that like Cells at Work episode, I think it was season 2, about the skin cancer that like multiplied everywhere. I don't know if you've seen the anime, but it's basically like the natural killer cell. It's like, hey, there's a guy with cancer here. No one gives a shit because it can't recognize, like, hey, there's cancer here. We need to get rid of it. And then just keeps multiplying. So natural killer cells can help with that recognition. And it's able to see like, oh my God, we got some problem in our body. Let's eliminate this fuck. So yeah, so that's what NK cells do. And there are like 5 types of T cells. There's a bunch of them being researched. Let's make a list. Okay, so the first one is your helper cell. So that's called CD4. Then there's your cytotoxic, which is CD8. Then there's the regulatory. Then there's the natural killer cell. And I forgot the 4th one. What was the 4th one? Oh, no, not dendritic cell. You guys know, let me know. I forgot, Loki. 5 types of T cells. CD8, CD4, T regulatory. And oh yeah, I'm stupid. The memory T cell. The T memory cell. How could I forget about that one? Basically, whenever you get infected, you know, these effector T cells will go to memory T cells, and that stores for the next, you know, immune infection. So that's basically the 5 types of T cells. Okay. If I have a lactating daughter, why not take advantage of her as long as her baby didn't? What the fuck, bro? Okay, I gotta see this article, man. Let me see in Discord. You stored it? Yes, you did. Okay, ABC. Got it. I can take a look at it later after we go over the other stuff. Okay, nevertheless. But yeah. I mean, that's essentially the different types of T cells, and as you can see there, that's how the natural killer cell absolutely nukes cancer out of orbit, which is, you know, one of the few ways the immune system can nuke cancer. All right, let's keep going here. So, all right, so we got the lab tests, and the combination of the new drug and a low dose interferon results in a 50% increase in antigen presentation. Pretty fucking good, and it makes the tumor more visible, right? Let's see. So it creates the cold to hot, provides a new blueprint. Okay. So yeah. So this is cool because, I mean, Mephi did bring up some thoughts that he had, and I 100% agree with them. But yeah, this type of model is probably one of the first things that has existed, because this is actually the first time I've seen something about this. Let me know if there's something else, but yeah, so this type of novel drug discovery. So we can create predictive models of cellular behavior that are powerful enough to run high-throughput visual screens. So teams at Yale are now exploring the mechanism uncovered here and testing additional AI-generated predictions in other immune contexts. With further preclinical and clinical validation, such hypotheses might be able to ultimately accelerate the path to new therapies. Okay, and Hugging Face has the model. Wow, so the cancer model is on Hugging Face. Dude, that's kind of crazy though. Like a model that can, you know, figure out a drug. Oh yeah, you can download it for yourself and run it if you want to. But then Mephi did bring up quantization. So the most interesting part is that, you know, running this model is going to, in FP16, is going to take like a lot of GPU power. So as I stated in previous streams, you could quantize it down to like run it on a 3090 or something. But again, that's going to result in some loss, right? So usually whenever I talk about quantization, we have like I think it's the perplexity and the bits, right? And the lower is better. And whenever myself and Turbo, you know, share graphs, we always do it like this, where, you know, over here is like 4 bits, then we go to like 5 bits, then we go 6-bit, 8-bit, right? So, I don't know, I constantly utilize this graph of reference for how much loss that a model can have. And when you're in like 8-bit, kind of negligible, 6-bit also kind of negligible with Xllama. 5 bits, still okay, and 4 bits is when you start to see some degradation. So it'll be interesting to experiment, like running this on a home computer, or running this in a simple lab setup to see how we could get to, right? How much can we lobotomize this model effectively by quantization to see like, can we still get the same result, right? So I don't know, interesting thing to look into for sure. I mean, I know I can run this one or maybe this one on my 3090 right now, assuming I'm not streaming, but yeah. This is the C2S family. I'm gonna forward the article here for the C2S if you guys do want to read it. It is definitely an interesting article, that's to say the least. But yeah. Okay. Any questions? Anything you want to ask me? Anything you want to add? I'll be happy to answer whenever you want. Just gonna get a quick drink of water, and also we got an ad in a minute, so this is perfect timing. But yeah, it's kind of crazy how you can essentially run this thing on your GPU. Google has some TX Gemma that has some biochemistry stuff. At first I wanted to quantize it thinking it's a general purpose medical model, but then reconsidered. Firstly because of the license, then after rereading what actually looked. Yeah, I mean, the only general purpose model in Google is Gemma, and that's like just the base Gemma. Oh yeah, like can you be like, oh yeah, can we use C2S scaled Gemma 27B for RP? Maybe. Will it be good? No. Probably not. It's probably just gonna spit out like RNA sequences. Oh my god. But yeah. The license is interesting. Can I look at the license here? What is it? Honestly, like, when it comes to open source licenses, most people don't really care. Like, I really doubt, I don't think people really think about the license too much. I know a lot of people, you know, upload the wrong license, and then when people steal it, quote unquote, they'd be like, oh, well, the license is MIT, so I could take whatever I want. I'm like, oh shit. So, yeah, that's another problem when it comes to open source code, because when it comes to violation of licenses, you also gotta sue the person who violated the license. That's a lot of money. So it's kind of like a catch-22 in that sense, where you gotta have enough money to actually have the lawsuit to sue. I mean, Google probably does, so yeah, I gotta be careful about that. But I guess predatory licenses are definitely a thing, especially in the model sphere. I know Meta had its proprietary license. When Mistral released with Apache 2, everybody loved that because they could deploy it wherever they wanted to. But yeah. Okay, looks like we got another ad break coming up, so I'm gonna let that go. Damn, bro, I really yapped about this for some time, huh? Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, while that's going, should be starting in a second. Let's open up some stuff about... I'm gonna open up a few things. Most notably my Twitter, because I did ask... Oops. There were Apollo medical models. I thought TX Gemma was something talk about health and not a highly specialized. Yeah, that is interesting because there are a lot of medical models out there. Maybe I'll do another stream talking a lot about them, but the thing I like about smaller models, and I'm not sure if I talked about this on a different stream, but with smaller models, you can specialize more. I mean, with bigger models, you can specialize it even more, but most small models are fine-tuned on a set of data, right? So this set of data really contains all of the necessary information for that specific use case. Like, for example, RP models. They're specific to RP for the most part. And they also have the pre-train, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's what I always enjoyed about smaller models. They could be hyper-specialized for things, which is pretty sweet. Okay. So back to it, Misami. And I'm going to... Let's open up my Twitter here while the ad break is running. Apologies, guys, for the ad break. For you guys on Twitter, you guys are free to do whatever you want. Maybe hop onto Twitch, chat a bit, you know? And also, I am archiving the stream on YouTube as we keep going with it. So that's a pretty cool thing. Drugs. Thank you, Maddie. Very helpful. Yes, drugs are fun. Do not take drugs, kids. Okay, I got a question. Would you guys want to see a stream where I talk about all the illegal drugs? Shit, that's not it. What's the toggle? Fuck. I will. Yes. Okay, we'll do it. I'll put it on the notes. We'll do an illicit drug stream, guys. Cause that shit. It's good to educate people as to what each drug does. I literally just learned about this. You have become the drug. I'm not even a pharmacist. How am I the drugs? Drugs? Anybody got drugs on you? Okay, I'm teasing Lev here. Okay, here we go. So, I made this tweet. See, here's the problem when it comes to Twitter. Everybody has like a very vehement opinion on everything. Now, let's just do a little bit of background. So I've been on Windows 11 since 2020, right? When the beta released. I liked it. I liked how it looked. And it was cool, right? So I installed it on my system, like my actual computer, as the beta version. And I haven't had a problem with it. My computer hasn't blown up. I have very, very low standards when it comes to operating systems. Basically, like, do I need to maintain it? And does it run okay on this? And Windows 11 hasn't hurt me as much as it has. But there's a lot of people that are like, hey, Windows 11 sucks. It's terrible. I'm going to stay on Windows 10. I'm going to switch to Linux now. And I want to know why. What is the reason as to that? Because my personal experience has been fine, right? It hasn't been great, but it's been all right? So I haven't really had any issues. So I asked on Twitter, I'm genuinely curious, what makes people hate Windows 11? I've been on it since the beta with no problems, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. I was genuinely curious because, as you guys know, Windows 10, the version that everybody loved, is dead, right? They killed it. Windows 10 was released in 2015. It's been a good 10 years, kind of ironic. It's now dead in 2025, right? So they're no longer offering free software updates for Windows 10. And there's also this thing, right? There's the extended security updates, but essentially, in October 13, 2026, Windows 10 is dead. It's completely cooked, basically. Let me lower the volume here. So it's completely cooked, it's dead, it's gone. But the thing is, a lot of people complain about Windows 11. Let me just search on Twitter here right now. Search Windows 11. So you can see, like, everybody's like, it's terrible, it's dog shit, it's horrible, what the hell is going on with it, you know? So I want to ask the chat, right? I want to ask the chat first. What do you guys think about Windows 11? What's your opinion on it, if any? I know Mephi's opinion. I'm gonna go... If you're okay with it, I'll go over yours from Discord. I'm happy to chat about that, but what's your guys' opinion? Do you guys have an opinion? Do you guys just not care? Do you guys, you know, give a fuck about the things that Windows 11 is doing? I have low baseline trust and not pleased in the direction it goes. Fair enough. Yeah. Is it okay if I read your message from Discord? If you don't want me to, that's fine. Okay. I'll also just look at these Twitter comments. Some of them are very, very cool. Okay, so we got Maddie over here who pinged Invictus, and Invictus didn't respond. I'm mad. Sure? Okay, so I'll read yours after I look at this tweet. So, Razor Sharp Fang from my Twitter said, the new context menu changes the layout of items depending on what you clicked and where you clicked on it. It's really inconsistent, which absolutely infuriates when you're trying to get your work done. I revert it using a registry entry. Hika says, not really care. Tumblr, Twitter, YouTube, now Twitch, and the Occasional stream game. He was proves at work making bombs. What does that mean? Sorry, at making bombs. What do you mean by that, Maddie? Sorry, I'm just oh. Talk about Invictus. Okay, yeah. Yes, he is an engineer. That's right. He's engineering stuff. Yeah, so one thing is, okay, so we got Razor Sharp Fang who said the layout. We got Mango here who says, I use my laptop for SSH plus code plus web browsing. In almost every aspect, Windows pisses me off, especially using the terminal. There's no sudo, you need to launch as admin. Every usual Linux command you expect is basic enough to carry over, like ls. And it's hard to remember commands for Windows when you aren't used to it. Power draw sucks. Linux Mint on my laptop would easily last me 1 entire hour more than Windows 11. There'd be annoyances with the fucking settings being 1 million different places, and it's not just a smooth experience. That being said, I still run on my PC simply because game support's ass and I don't trust it. Okay? This one, when I hear people say there's no problems with something they use, I automatically assume it's some cope or bait, because I've never in my life seen a piece of software with no problems, especially if that's an OS. Besides, you should hate Microsoft. Okay, I mean, this is something I really shouldn't give a fuck about, but I'm gonna go into this just a little bit because I don't really understand, like, why, I don't understand, like, the intense emotions of hate towards a company. Right? I mean, here's the thing. When it comes to companies, I disagree with some changes, I agree with some changes. Do I outright hate them? Not really. It's an entity. I don't really think about, like, a company as a love-hate relationship. It's like, do I use the product or not? That's what I think, right? I don't know. Probably because they're a huge corp. True, right? People say, I hate Apple. I mean, I dislike parts of Apple, but I like other parts of Apple. I have a lot of Apple devices. I hate Microsoft. I use Windows, right? Also, what is it? Or I hate Netflix, right? Because they're restricting streaming outside of the parent household. I don't know. There's just a lot of things to think about when it comes to companies. Obviously, I don't support every company's changes, but when some changes do flip around, like, I think the best way is to vote with, like, hey, am I going to use your product or not? Right? I mean, sometimes the product is necessary, which is unfortunate, right? Like Windows, for example, which I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, Osboss said, it's honestly not that bad, though I'm not happy that I have to jump through hoops to not use a Microsoft account when setting it up. I have to pull up a hidden command prompt and enter a command to be able to use a local account. They're planning on blocking this method. And then this person said bait. Okay. Let me look at Discord, because Mephi did say something. Let's see. I think there are conversations about the product versus conversation about ethics versus conversations about both. That is true. Yeah, that is true. Like, what is Microsoft doing, right? Are they shoving AI down everyone's throats? Are they trying to make Windows better? Are they trying to improve the UI? Because in reality, it's different departments doing these things, and then the big boys at top deciding what's going on. That's how a company works, right? So it is definitely interesting to see that aspect of things. Well, let me just scroll up and find Mephi's reply here, because I really liked it. So let me just read. My baseline comfortable OS was Win 7. It was an upgrade for Win XP. It was just more resource intensive, but most things work just like in Win XP. Upgraded but similar UI. Same settings apps, more security, better Win update that didn't break all the time, etc. It's just the same thing but even more polished. But Win 7 became outdated because it became unusable. Win 10 had many annoying UI changes, half-baked tablet UI that replaced the old trusty system apps, many of which were still required because some things can be only done there, which had much more enforced updates that could ruin your day with sudden reboots, and overall it's significantly more sluggish than Win 7. And now they want me to switch to another downgrade over my Win 7 experience. Honestly, I didn't look into whatever imposed stuff they added there and wouldn't be able to recite everything I disliked when looked into it, but I really dislike how arrogantly they treat my computer as if it belongs to them. I'll just switch back to Linux at some point when developers stop compiling their apps for Windows 10 and it'll be no longer usable. And then I asked about what the my computer thing as it belongs to them, and he said, most basic thing, they don't want you to know what they do in the background. There's always a problem with obscure errors, services, and unknown things it does in the background, meaning it being Windows. Then they started adding telemetry and forced updates, reboot, online accounts, shoveling in your face, how about you upgrade to the next Win version screens a while ago, and they also tell you to throw your PC if it's too old for Windows 11. A joke image about PC icons. Okay, and with W11 specifically, they added opt-out recall, you can never be... Okay, so that's what Mephi said. Is that... I just read what it was in Discord, so hopefully that, you know, represented it properly. I'm just trying to read it in an objective way, alright? So, let's talk about the main things that, you know, people had. Let's talk about the main things I consolidated when people were talking about Windows 11 troubles. Alright, so number one is UI. That's a big one. Number 2 is compatibility. Number 3 is software, ads, extra software. Number 4 is like distrust in Microsoft. This is kind of valid, I'm not gonna lie. Distrust in MS, and there's many more, but let's talk about these 4 parts first. Okay. So, when it comes to UI, right, the UI has changed a lot. It's went from, you know, here is my, it went from like Windows 10 UI, so let me just look up an image here. Windows 10 versus Windows 11 UI. Oh, cool. We got a side-by-side comparison right here. Oh, don't save the image. Fuck you. Open image and new tab. There we go. Okay. All right, listen, bro. If it's that small, I'm not gonna be able to show you. Okay. Who decided like, oh yeah, we're gonna post an image that fucking tiny? Bruh. Oh, what the hell is that? Okay, I'm not gonna show that one. Don't worry about that image. I don't know why am I searching. Here we go. So this is what Windows 10 looked like, and this is what Windows 11 looks like. You can see that Windows 11 draws a lot from macOS in terms of, you know, having this nice, you know, rounded corners. It has that, you know, semi lucent finish, and it has like more material, minimalistic style icons rather than Windows 10, which is like more 2015-ish, 2010s back in the day. I kind of understand what you mean, right? I mean, the Windows 11 start menu kind of looks a little weird compared to Windows 10. I mean, Windows 10 wasn't much better. I didn't really like... I was okay with the Metro UI back in the day, but like, I don't know. Like, the tiles were kind of just like Windows Phone. I believe it's still an artifact from like the Windows Phone days, back when they, you know, are like, hey, we're gonna try and push a phone out to you guys, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, and this is the remnants of it. But the start menu on the side is pretty nice. It gives a little bit back to Windows 7. Windows 11, on the other hand, gives more of a, you know, quote-unquote modern day polished looking feel, and I think that some people just dislike that in general. They try and just, you know, they're trying a little too hard to make it more like Mac rather than, you know, having their own design language. So I understand you there, but I personally like it because I use a MacBook, and when you activate Windows, you can like shift everything to the left again, and it looks very similar to Windows 10 except for the start menu. So yeah. But yeah, so that's the UI comparison there. But when we saw Razor Sharp Fang talk about the UI regarding the right clicks and stuff like that, something interesting with the right clicks is the fact that when you right click in Explorer, right, so let's draw a little folder icon here, and you right click, it brings up like a menu, and then there's this like show more option, and then when you click on it, it shows like the old UI for like a right click menu. You probably have seen this. It's so weird. It's really, really weird in that sense, because why is it when I click the more button, it doesn't show the new version? It's like I have to use 7-zip. I have to click here, and then click here, and then click 7-zip. I don't know. That's kind of weird. At my work, when Win 8 was out, I had to install a third-party app to mimic Win 7 start menu. Win 8... Dude, Win 8 did have such a terrible UI. It was so bad that they released 8.1, remember? And it's like it's like the precursor to Windows 10. It's basically the Windows 10 start menu, but like without the left-hand side. So it's just the tiles. That was so cooked back in the day, man. Oh my god. But yeah, I agree with you. Windows 8 did have such a bad UI because it went more tablet-focused. I believe it was because Microsoft was like pushing the Surface at the time, and they were trying to get people to like opt into this. Oh yeah, you use your tablet and you use your PC just like you would a tablet. But it's like, who the fuck wants to do that? Use your PC like a damn PC, for crying out loud. Like, I don't know. I'm not a big I'm not a big make things fatter type of person, you know. And I know someone out there likes the Windows 8 UI, but I personally don't. Anyways, so compatibility. So yeah. So when it comes to other parts of the UI, we also have like the clock. I don't know if they solved this in another Windows 11 patch, but basically the clock only appears on one monitor. You have to like, I had to install a third-party app to get the clock on the other monitor. I mean, I don't mind doing that. Like, that's how Macs work, right? You have to install third-party apps for like almost everything, and they're all fucking paid, which makes which is a huge pain in the ass, by the way. I believe it was 11 clock. Let me look it up. This was the one I used. So I installed this guy. Okay, I guess we don't need it anymore, but yeah, I installed this guy, and that added the clock to my second monitor. In my opinion, you really shouldn't have to do that. Windows 10 had that by default. But yeah, I was able to work around it. It was fine. And to be honest, like, the general appearance of Windows right now for me is, you know, very similar to my Windows 10 setup. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm trying to get back to Windows 10, you know, in that sense. Another thing is, like, the search as well. Like, Windows search, I think they started relying more on Windows search. Oh, yeah, when you go into Start menu. Okay, yeah, makes sense. But when you rely more on Windows search, it doesn't really do stuff. It does search for your apps well, which is good. That's really what I use search for in general, but it's not like Spotlight, that's for sure. It's not like Spotlight. It's not like, you know, any other program that does a really good contextual search on your computer. I assume there are third-party apps for that. I know Power Toys exists. Power Toys. Yeah, Microsoft Power Toys. Here we go. So yeah, this is just like a bunch of extra things you can add to Windows, which allows you to, you know, here, this is the command palette. So there's just like a bunch of extra features that aren't really in Windows, but you could just install them for just more power user things. That's what Power Toys is for. It's like an extension pack for Windows, which is nice, right? There's also third-party apps for this type of stuff. I like it. Pretty cool. But yeah. Okay. So the next thingy right here. All right, we're going to skip the compatibility for a second, but I do want to talk about the extra software and just trust in Microsoft a bit, because that's something that's very pervasive across the tech space nowadays. So if you guys remember, this is something that made mainstream news, so you guys probably remember this, but Windows Recall, right? So Windows Recall controversy. Here we go. Here we go. Here it is. Here it is. There we go. So Microsoft Recall. So this is the controversial Windows Recall feature. Microsoft has officially rolled out its recall feature to the general public following year security, yada, yada, yada. All right, so now it's part of the Copilot Plus PC. So Recall is now live on all of these PCs and it requires the neural processing units. I'm just going to scroll down until I find the privacy implications. Okay. So it doesn't really talk about too much. So let's talk about what Recall is then. So Microsoft Recall. This is one of the most controversial things I've seen in a long time when it comes to Windows. Basically, Microsoft released, you know, Copilot, because they're a big investor in OpenAI, so Copilot plus PC. And this is essentially integrating AI into the PC. They were making a bunch of LLMs to run everything locally. It's basically, you know, adding a smarter model to your computer, right? Pretty cool, pretty non-intrusive. The problem was when it became intrusive. Basically, to gain more context about you as the user, they introduced this feature called Recall, which essentially takes screenshots of your PC every 5 seconds. And it stores it in a quote-unquote encrypted database, encrypted local database. So theoretically, Copilot could reference from that encrypted local database and give you more contextual information, right? Basically a very crude way of retrieval augmented generation. So you're basically seeing what the behaviors that you're doing, and Windows is able to intelligently understand that in that sense. And I was going to get into that, right? So this encrypted local database, I put it in quotes because, in fact, the local database was just a normal SQLite database. This means that the file could be read by anyone. It was unencrypted. There was no encryption whatsoever. So anybody could look at the SQLite database and they could see all of the screenshots on that person's computer. It was bad. It was so bad. So yeah, this basically came up as a problem when Recall was first shown to the public in beta. and it made so much negative press. The thing that made the most negative press, though, was that this thing was enabled by default. So which means when you install Windows with the Copilot PC, Windows recall would always be enabled. I want you guys to tell me how that could be a huge problem and why that launched so much distrust into the entire thing. Since recall was enabled by default and you had to turn it off in settings, most general users would have screenshots. Oh, fuck. I can't spell. Screenshots like every 5 seconds. Or 5 minutes, sorry. 5 minutes, 5 seconds, one of them. So every 5 minutes a screenshot would happen. And since this database could be... I assume this was a security mistake, but since it could be read by anyone, it was a huge security problem, right? So all of these screenshots completely fucked up the entire... This screenshots would be like exposed. People would have a huge problem in that sense because everyone would be able to see what someone is doing on their computer, whether they're playing games, whether they're, you know, writing confidential documents on Word, or if they're doing the haha funny stuff, if you know what I mean. I wonder what you're doing in that homework folder, my friend. But yeah, so that was the problem. And this entire thing was so controversial that it made every single mainstream news outlet in less than a day. Basically, Microsoft relented. They have it off by default now, right? So they have this turned off completely. But yeah, this is a huge security risk, right? It's like, hey, we have Windows recall, and next thing you know, you're writing that confidential document for the government. Oh, sorry, we're gonna take screenshots of that, and anyone could leak all of those documents in Warhammer forums, you know? And yes, it is a thing. People do leak classified documents in Warhammer forums. It's actually so funny. There's like a whole meme where it's like, number of days since classified documents were leaked in Warhammer forums. I'm like, bro. Hey, all right, man. So yeah. Yeah, what do you guys think about this recall nonsense? That's essentially one of the things that lowered trust in that's essentially one of the first things that massively lowered trust in Microsoft in general, because, you know, this entire thing happened. And this extra software, right, is the AI, right? Not everyone is into I mean, I work in AI, right? I work with AI. I like working with LLMs. I like working with the open weights ones, but I don't know, having this shit just sitting on my PC forever, we all know what happened to Apple Intelligence, right? It doesn't do shit and it just sits there and takes up space. So Microsoft will probably do the same fucking thing, right? I know Gemini's also on Pixel phones. I know a lot of voice actors, I mean, yeah, that's 100% fair, right? I mean, I talked about the good part of AI, you know, helping with syncing lip movements. That's cool. That's a cool thing. I mean, voice actor dubbing and AI helps sync the lip movements to make it more understandable. That's one thing that could be done, but other than that, you know, they're concerned that having the AIs on their PCs would... Yeah, like, if, for example, with the recall stuff, right? Anything that's confidential, anything that has an NDA will be stored in that quote-unquote local database. Next thing you know, some freaking Indian scammer gets your control of your PC, or maybe you download some funny malware and it steals that database. You know? It's a huge problem, and God knows what's on there that can fuck up your system. Yeah, exactly. So I believe it's something to be concerned about, right? But the good news is that it can be turned off, right? Copilot itself can be turned off. You could actually go into Group Policy Editor. You can find Copilot in there, and you could just switch it to off. All the Copilot features are gone, so that's pretty nice. I actually got rid of it completely on my system. But, I mean, people do bring up a good point. Since Microsoft did this, what's to say that they, you know, revert that in the future? And, honestly, you know, when it comes to stuff like that, I try to be more on the optimistic side. Like, I kind of just live in the moment in that case. If Microsoft ever does, you know, turn that toggle off, right? They make it so you can't disable Copilot, then it's like, I'm jumping off of Windows. That's pretty much it. Like, I'm not going to be using Windows anymore because I don't want this shit shoved on my PC. And Twitter actually did bring up a good thing, is that, you know, registry editing, right? So registry is like the low-level version. Registry is the low-level version or like the low-level settings panel. You basically set raw bits so that Microsoft understands, hey, don't do this or do this, and it's not exposed in the normal settings menu. Microsoft could even remove it from the registry, so it's like, you know, who knows what's gonna happen, but I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit, you know, of an untrustworthy thing. I feel like any software can do that, really. Like, it could just enable something that you don't like randomly, and then next thing you know, people are up in arms, but the company just doesn't give a fuck. So, yeah, that's possible. But when it comes to that, you as the consumer, you know, you can just get off the thing that you don't like, you know, or find a way to disable it. My work computer has Copilot turned on, and I mean, if it's your work computer, like, who cares? Just do what they want you to do. It's not like your work computer is scanning you constantly, right? So, yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm not... In terms of me, I'm not crazy paranoid about that stuff. I can turn it off, I'm gonna keep it off. That's pretty much it. Some people are, and they can do what they want to do. I know, but what about the HIPAA? Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I assume IT has that covered because Recall is pretty pervasive as to like, hey, this shouldn't be used, turn it off, thank you. And if it is truly local and encrypted now, I'd assume the vector of attack is kind of reduced now. But yeah, IT doesn't realize what company tech I have. Oh, well, that's fun. I don't know. It depends on what your work does. But yeah, enabling the shit by default isn't good. I 100% agree with the Windows 11 detractors as to like why you want to go away, because all of the AI stuff is being shoved down people's throats now, and it's just like, why? We don't need it. But as long as it can be disabled, that's pretty cool. That's pretty nice. But yeah, once it doesn't become disabled, then people will probably switch. And I completely understand where you guys are coming from on that front. You know, I'm not like, hey, Windows is the best thing ever, you know, it's so good. No, it works. That's all I care about. Okay. So let's go over another thing that Osboss mentioned in Twitter. It's the Microsoft account. I made the mistake of enabling the Microsoft account back when I first installed Windows 10. That was a fucking massive mistake. MS accounts basically bloat the entire computer with BS. Like, it registers your Microsoft account in everything. It's not like Apple ID, you know, where you sign into your Apple account and then it's just like, you know, not too pervasive. Your Microsoft account will just spam you with notifications. It adds a bunch of random shit to your computer. I'm just like, get me the fuck out of here. So the second I'm like, you know what, I'm done with Microsoft accounts, I switched to local. And back in Windows 10, it was easy, right? Right now in Windows 11, unfortunately, Microsoft accounts are becoming required. That's a problem. Windows 10 asked me to finish installation this week every few weeks to enable on. Really? Okay, that hasn't happened to me. Maybe it's... I feel like it might just be because of the versions of Windows that you're using. I use Win 11 Pro, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen a Microsoft account prompted forever. Your storage is used up. Yeah, another thing is OneDrive, right? OneDrive is fucking everywhere. I disabled it because, like, it's useless, but... Dude, OneDrive fucking sucks on Windows. Jesus Christ. Like, I use OneDrive for, like, work because Google is stingy with their G Suite now, and it's just... Dude, it sucks compared to G Suite. I don't like it, but yeah. So basically, Microsoft accounts in Windows 11 are now required. And I'm just like, bro, are you fucking kidding me? So here's what you need to do currently to disable Microsoft accounts on Windows 11. Disable MS accounts. Okay. Okay, so nowadays, you have to use the fucking command prompt to break out the Microsoft account. Let me just scroll all the way down to here. Okay, so you're in the Windows 11 setup, right? You go into command prompt, and then you type in ipconfig release. Okay, so you type that up, and then you essentially, let's see. Yeah, so what you're doing is you're essentially disconnecting the PC from network by just nuking its IP, by nuking its DHCP negotiation, right? So DHCP is completely cut. Okay, so we released it. Now Windows knows it's offline. It sounds like something from Harry Potter. IP config release. I know, like, there's one meme, like, Wingardium Lodios, when something just refuses to load. It's so funny. But yeah, so you're basically you're basically cutting the computer off from any internet connection, and next thing you know, it's gonna be like, hey, we don't have an internet connection, so you can just set up a local account and you're chill. So yeah. They also have this shit, like the telemetry. I mean, telemetry has always been a thing ever since like the dawn of Windows, so I don't know. Like there's like 50 million debloaters that just disable all this for you. I also don't recommend debloaters because it can fuck up Windows Update, which is great because when I tried to update to Windows 11, Windows Update was completely destroyed because of my Windows 10 debloater. So that was fun. I had to get a fucking ISO for Windows 11 and install it that way, but yeah, whatever. But yes, what essentially just happened was that you need to cut the network to get Windows 11. But unfortunately, shut up. Unfortunately, this network cutting, so let me draw it out. They're basically forcing network setup. So now your computer has to be connected to the internet when setting it up in the latest updates. And this is just diabolical, bro. Like, why? I don't know. Like, what do you guys think about this? I mean, I think I know what your opinions are gonna be, but why the fuck are you trying to shove network setup down our throats? I don't get it. What? Okay, sure. Like, this means you can't use the command prompt to bypass the Microsoft account setup. I feel like, you know, it's all a huge conspiracy. So it's like the Microsoft account is required for the online features. Right? And then the online features help with training the AI model. This makes ChatGPT better, you know? Not really. It trains all of your AI stuff. And then next thing you know, the online features also are telemetry. Telemetry goodness for Microsoft. Oh my god. And then it can know everything that you're doing. The Windows recall database is gonna be leaked. Honestly, it's not that far from the truth, right? Like, I don't know. Like, high-key, it's not that far from like the truth as to what's happening. So I 100% understand the distrust in MS. I mean, right now, again, I'm optimistic, right? Like, people, you know, once it's gone, then it's a problem. But while I still can, I'm just gonna, you know, skip it. That's how I believe some genius Windows hacker, I don't know, some teenage kid is gonna figure out how to just like bypass the Microsoft account stuff again, and then Windows is gonna patch it again. It's gonna be a cat and mouse jailbreak, like jailbreak. You got jailbreak Windows to stop using a Microsoft account. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm not educated enough to comment. Yeah, that's fair. Like, here's the thing with Windows, right? A lot of people on Twitter, especially in the tech sphere, love to talk about how Windows sucks. But the unfortunate reality is like, Windows is about 89% of the market share. Mac OS is like about 10%. And then Linux is about like the 1 to 2%. Right? Even though, you know, Linux is a more free, a more private operating system, right? It's your own operating system. It can be anything you want it to be. A lot of people just prefer Windows. And the reason why is because A, is pre-installed. B, it just works. And C, I mean, it's OEM, right? So work with OEMs. So any OEM basically can install Windows and they ship it with the computer. Not many devices ship with something like Linux, and when it is shipped with Linux, it's usually shipped with like Ubuntu. I know System 76 does the laptops with Pop! OS. That's like a more fringe company. I'm talking more about like the Dells of the world. Like Dell has like a developer version of the XPS, and I actually got a developer XPS and it ran Ubuntu, which was cool. But yes, so that's pretty much the market share. It's unfortunate, right? I mean, more people should be using Linux, but there's a lot of reasons as to why people would still use Windows in 2025. These are the reasons here. All right, but there's more. There is an ad break coming up, so I'm just gonna let that run. Wait, let me read Maddie's comment here. One of the people behind the social engineering incident in Vegas in 2023 turned himself in. Ooh, there was a social engineering incident in Vegas? What the heck is that? I looked that up while the ad break is going. Social engineering. Vegas. I am under a rock. I'm sorry. MGM cyber attack. Wow. Half the strip was really... Oops, that can't be found. Hold on. Okay, let's see. So casino attacks. Okay, interesting. Threat actors behind Las Vegas casino attacks are social engineering mavens. I'll look at this after the ad break's over. Which was pretty cool. The only social engineering attack I'm aware of and I constantly talk about is like the XZ attack, where malicious package was pretty much published to Linux development repos because of social engineering, but I'll look at this in a second. This looks cool. This was pretty sick. Alright. Okay. So, yeah. Again, ad break. They suck. If you're on Twitter, thank you for watching, and you guys can listen to me yap for a little bit before we continue. I feel like, here's the thing. I talked about this last stream, but I saw a lot of streamers were, you know, pausing everything they're doing during an ad break just to give people who, you know, aren't subbed, don't have turbo, don't have money, you know, time to chill. I mean, for you guys that are here during the ad break or here on Twitter, you can listen to my dumbass yap for a little bit while it's going, but yeah. Ads don't really support me. They pay out jack shit in Twitch. I wish I could disable them. Like, seriously, I really wish I could disable them, but unfortunately, that's how it works. Same with YouTube. That's the internet we live in nowadays. I know there's like the dead internet theory where people are like, oh, half the internet is just bots and AI, so it's like, you just gotta contribute to them. I could actually talk about that, because nowadays, really, when it comes to stuff, it feels like you're mainly posting to an algorithm versus posting to a person, you know? I don't know. The dead internet theory is interesting, but let's talk about... I just want to talk about something, a little tangent. It's more so about how social media, right? Back in like 2008, I guess, to like 2011, I don't know, approximate those dates, you're mainly posting to people, right? Right, so you're posting to people. But like nowadays, in like the 2020s, you're mainly posting to an algorithm or like some sort of AI ranking model. Like, so you're posting so the algorithm can catch you and spread it to people that would be interested in your content, because there's so many people on social media nowadays. So it's like, you know, you're being stuck on this path. It's like, I don't know, social media is very weird because of that. And that's why the dead internet theory is such a big, pervasive thing. Internet theory. Because 50% is bots and AI, and the other 50% is real people. And it's kind of fair, right? Some things you see on social media, there are a lot of bots commenting on it with like emojis or previously scripted or AI generated stuff. And then next thing you know, there's real people saying shit that's, you know, what they think. And honestly, who knows? And this is just like a subset of the human population, because a lot of the human population isn't chronically online. So yeah, I find that when it comes to posting on social media, stuff like YouTube Shorts, TikTok, YouTube in general, or Twitter, even Twitch, right? You're appealing to an algorithm that recommends you to people rather than just appealing to people directly. So it feels kind of weird in that sense. Anyways. I used Linux from 2006 to 2011, but I had to switch to Windows because of gaming. It was terrible back in the day, but it seems now with Valve's efforts, it's no longer as bad. Mephi, I'm actually going to talk about that, because I do have something I want to dig into. But yeah, let's look at Maddie's article here, or Maddie's thing that she talked about. The threat actors behind the Las Vegas casino attacks. I didn't know that this happened. I'm not really in tune with the news unless it shows up on Twitter. This happened in 2023, so I was completely off Twitter at that point. So yeah, let's read this. Scattered spider threat actors are attacking large companies and their IT help desks to steal data. The group of threat actors claiming responsibility for against MGM Results, Caesars Entertainment, and Clorox, what the fuck? The bleach brand, okay, is composed of experts in social engineering. Scattered Spider, which deploys Alfie ransomware, so ransomware locks down your system, use multiple techniques and tools to gain remote access to bypass two-factor authentication, which is essentially MFA. Federal cyber authorities warned in a Thursday advisory. The FBI Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency shared technical details and data gleaned from investigations as recently as this month. If you don't get blah, blah, blah. Okay, so catching the criminals requires more information so that law enforcement can identify a mistake that ultimately leads to a takedown. The attacks are complex, makes it difficult even for government agencies to collect forensic evidence. Very, very interesting. So basically, what happened is that there's just a bunch of malware, there's a bunch of threat actors that socially engineered, which is basically the act of, you know, calling a customer help desk or talking to someone low level in the company to do something, you know, as part of like a security update or something like that, and they install malware onto the system. They mistakenly install malware, which can spread across the entire corporate network. So this joint company, as Maddie said, essentially just shut down the entire strip because they held all of the casinos, these casinos, hostage, right? MGM, Caesars, these are big casinos. And this ransomware is pretty fucking tricky to, you can't unencrypt it unless you pay the ransom. So Caesars did pay the ransom, and therefore, you know, that's the end of that. But it was a really, I'd bet it was definitely something really, really bad back in the day. Jesus. They found the name of an MGM employee on LinkedIn who knew would have the IT access. Wow. So they did a lot of research into this. Damn. That's interesting. I mean, looking back on it, it's interesting. Took longer for MGM, just for Caesars. Okay, makes sense. So yeah, when it comes to these really orchestrated attacks, it's just a huge hacker group usually. Who knows if they're spreading on the dark web? I have no fucking idea. And they basically organize this plan, and they look up people that are vulnerable, and they try and, you know, push something towards them. It's also with open source maintainers. Remember the NPM attacks I was telling you guys about? This was a few streams ago, but the NPM attacks were also like there's like this person who worked in open source, probably burned out, it just developed the 2 packages that linked to a bunch of other packages, and saw this email from NPM that looked like it was from NPM, signed in, and the attacker now had all of their shit. And therefore, they published malicious versions, which all of those dependent packages pulled and therefore caused issues in the upstream pipelines, which was bad, very bad for the entire JavaScript world. Supply chain attacks are really interesting, but they are also very devastating. $100 million stolen. God damn, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money, my friend. Holy shit. Okay. Nevertheless, let's talk about the last thing on the Windows 11 agenda here before I go into the Linux stuff and gaming stuff that Mephi was talking about. The compatibility issue. So let's talk about Windows 11 compat. We're gonna go via Intel CPUs just for, you know, just as a more standardized way, but these also apply to AMD CPUs as well. So compatibility on Windows 11. So Windows 10 was compatible with everything from 2015 and beyond. It basically needed a shitbox to function. It could run on a lot of stuff, right? And it lasted for 10 years. Now Windows 11 decided to bump it up a notch in the name of security. Basically, they were looking for any type of CPU that had something called a TPM, or Trusted Platform Module. This is basically a hardware security strongbox. Right? If you heard of Apple's like T1 chip, this is essentially what that is, right? In a more superficial context. Like, I think T1 has way more things in it, but a TPM is basically a dedicated place to store secure stuff. And since Windows 11 is aimed to be more secure for the user, that's where the TPM requirement came into play. Now, the earliest chips with TPM starts with 8th gen Intel and above. This means that the minimum requirements is 8th gen Intel and above for CPUs. This is a huge... Or if you had like a TPM module that you could attach to the motherboards. I distinctly remember that when Windows 11 was announced, people started scalping TPM modules on eBay in obvious fashion, right? Everybody loves the scalping community, right? Especially in 2020, back when everything was being scalped because there was no fucking supply for anything. Man, that was some crazy times. But yeah, so the TPM module was basically being pushed everywhere on eBay for exorbitant prices for those who couldn't upgrade to Windows 11. The thing with Intel chips, these 8th generation Intel and newer Ryzen chips, was that they had something called FTPM, right? Or something else, right? It's called something else in Intel, but we could just call it FTPM. This is basically TPM on the CPU. So you didn't need like a separate module you could just, you know, enable a flag in your BIOS, and there you go. You have a TPM module running. So that's what Windows 11 required. And therefore, this cut, and 8th gen CPUs are like about, what? It was in 2018, it's 2024 right now. So about 6 years old. So this means that any PC that's older than 2018, 2017, I believe, I think that's when they were released, is moot. You can't run Windows 11, which sucks because, you know, people tend to own PCs that are like, you know, 10 years old. And to run Windows 11, you essentially have to patch the W11 installer. Right, so by patching that installer, you're able to, you know, install Windows 11 and it'll run perfectly fine, just without the TPM stuff. Is it necessary? If you're not stupid and download random files from the internet, then no, not really. Everyone knows that virus protection is basically up to you as the user. But when it comes to, you know, this limiting factor, there's a huge problem here. Like back in 2015, that era, PC parts were much cheaper in that sense. I mean, you guys remember the GTX 1080, right? Let me see. GTX. Do you guys remember how much the GTX 1080 costs back in the day? I don't remember. Let me look it up. GTX 1080. Yeah, it launched at 600 US. Right, so GTX 1080. Oops. This was like the era when I started getting into PCs. And I got like a 1060 for what, like 200? Right, that was a pretty cool card. But now, we look at like an RTX 5080. Right, so let me look that up. MSRP. You're gonna see that it's like $1,000. So you go from the 80 to the 80 series, and the next thing you know, you're paying $1,000 versus $600 for your GPU. And that's fucking expensive, right? And then CPUs have gotten expensive. Motherboards have gotten pretty expensive now. RAM is expensive. So it's like every single PC part has gotten way more expensive in recent years, and upgrading is more of a luxury rather than something that people do every so often. So when you have this issue where it's like, oh, you have like a 6-year-old CPU to upgrade and the, you know, most minimum spec is 10 years old, there's a huge disconnect in that sense, right? Like it's like there's a huge disconnect in the fact that, you know, Windows 11 is demanding more security, but Microsoft isn't like Apple. They don't produce the hardware, they just produce the software. I mean, they do produce parts of the hardware depending on what you buy, but yeah, it just feels like, you know, you're getting locked out of new things just because you can't afford a new computer, essentially. You gotta upgrade your entire system. Well, specifically more so the CPU, but you gotta upgrade a bunch of your system, because when you upgrade the CPU nowadays, you gotta upgrade the motherboard. When you upgrade the motherboard, you gotta upgrade to DDR5 RAM, because why the fuck can't you? Why the fuck can't you use DDR4? Who knows? So yeah, it's... I know when you use a Ryzen CPU, you have to use DDR5. I don't know with Intel CPUs if they still support DDR4. I'm not sure if that changed with the newer versions, but yeah. There's also just misinfo going around about, like, you know, now 11th gen and higher is required. That's false. It's actually like, if you're an OEM shipping Windows, you have to have an 11th gen CPU. But otherwise, you can install Windows 11 on 8th gen and up. That's the main thing. I think there were some articles that were misleading there, but yeah. I bought an E5 Xeon from 2016 recently, an upgrade from 2012 CPU, multi-upgrade, and it was like 50% cheaper than buying a new PC. Yeah, right? Like, I don't know, like, I'm still on DDR, like, here's my specs, right? Let me just write them down for you. So, I'm not trying to flex here, I'm just gonna write down what my specs are. I have a 3090 Ti. Right, I have a Ryzen 5600X. I have 128 gigs of DDR4. And this was, so these two, all of these actually were upgrades from what I previously had, right? So this especially was just a slottable upgrade. This was an upgrade back in 2020. Actually, fun lore. Remember back when everything was getting scalped? The Ryzen CPUs were sold out like crazy. I got one from Newegg. In literally like the first minute, I got it, and the next thing you know, it was completely sold out. Like literally seconds later, it was gone, completely gone from everywhere. And I got one from Newegg on launch day. It was crazy. I like spam refreshed. I clicked all the buttons and I got one. I don't know how. I think I used up all of my luck for that year. But man, that was some crazy times. But yeah, so essentially, you know, all of these are modern components, right? I could run Windows 11 with no problem, which is what I'm doing. But, you know, if I need to upgrade this to like a I need to upgrade this like a 7000, 9000 series chip from AMD. I need to upgrade this to DDR5 if that happens. And now my motherboard has to be upgraded to like a B6000 or something, or like an X670, I don't know, a B6000, X670, whatever, just to run these things. So it's like, I can't just upgrade the CPU anymore. I gotta upgrade everything here just to get a better experience. So what Mephi just said, you know, buying a Xeon from 2016, it'll fit, right? It'll fit in like the motherboard that you probably already have, I'd assume. So, you know, why not, right? I don't know. What do you guys think about PCs? I personally find it interesting in that regard. I'm not really sure. So yeah. Okay. But yeah, PCs are very, very old nowadays. It's just, oh yeah, caramba, you know? Alright. So, what else do I want to go over here? Yeah. Mephi did talk about Linux, so let's talk about Linux. Right? So previously, Linux is the alternative. The glorious master race OS for everybody, like people are saying. No, it's still a new motherboard, but 50%. Oh, okay, so you did get a new motherboard. Okay, my fault. It's still 50% cheaper with all the RAM, CPU. That's good. Yeah, of course it's gonna be cheaper because, you know, you're getting used parts in that sense, and then you're able to get that, you know, extra power for much less of a price. Which is good. Which is really good. Man, back in the day when we had like DDR3 RAM, that's kind of crazy. Oh my gosh. I remember the good old days, you know. I remember like when GPUs first sold out. If you guys remember like the 2017 crypto craze. Oh my god, that was a crazy time. Like people were limiting amount of GPUs you can buy. It was hard to buy one. Like, man, those were back for like the RX 580. Nowadays, it's like, oh, you're trying to get a 3090? Good fucking luck. You're not gonna find that shit anywhere. Or you're gonna have to pay like $3,000 to get, sorry, $2,000 or $3,000 to get like a 5090 because like they're so expensive. Ah, man, I still remember the good old days. Anyways, let's talk about Linux. You know, it's the alternating operating system. It's the big boy. It's like everybody wants you to go onto Linux. It's the tech bro OS, as people like to call it. You know, when people say, yo, here's how you install like an internet browser. They bring up like the fucking hacker type or shit. But yeah, so I call it the tech bro OS, not in like a insulting way, more of like an endearing way in that sense. One thing is that with Linux is that you can choose between distros. And there are so many to choose from, right? So there's Ubuntu, Fedora, Arch Linux, Debian. And the thing with Linux is you can truly customize it to your liking, right? The only problem is, you know, I previously mentioned, is that Linux is a very small percent of the market share. I mean, there's a lot of enthusiasts that use Linux and are able to configure it for their liking. And there are some distributions that are more zero config, like Linux Mint is very zero config, right? This is what I'd recommend if you're getting started. There's also Omarchy. That's a new kid on the block for devs who want to switch over from Mac OS. But yeah. So the unfortunate part, since Linux is only 1 to 2% market share, software suffers. There's no Microsoft Office. There's no Adobe. There's no, some games are not there, right? I'll talk about that in a second. And a lot of it relies on some sort of virtual machine, Wine, maybe some emulation here and there. But you need to, you know, with Linux, you really need to embrace the side of, you know, tinkering with things. A lot of people, unfortunately, don't do that. I know a lot of people who watch the stream aren't crazy tech savvy, you know? And It's just that Linux, requires a lot more, but it has gotten better, right? There's a lot of software. There's more awareness of Linux ever since Microsoft is doing its shit. Apple is releasing its UI that some people like and don't like. And we're getting into the realm of just like, hey, you could run all this shit by yourself and it's great. But what isn't great is, the constant schism within Linux. You see, with all of these all of these distros, there's also the big problem of fragmentation. So each distro has a different package manager, right? So Ubuntu has APT, Fedora has DNF, Arch has Pacman, Debian also has APT. But you can see, like, there is huge amounts of fragmentation on Linux, and that is a problem for those who just want to get something working. I feel like these two and many others, like CachyOS, I believe, is another one. These two and the easy Linux OS, Linux distros, help solve that problem by adding graphical applications or by adding, terminal applications that are intuitive in terms of Omarkey's case, which I find very interesting. But yeah, you really need to have that tinkering mindset, especially when something doesn't work, like audio, for example, right? And it becomes a huge pain in the ass. If you want to, know a absolute noob's experience with Linux, I'd recommend watching Linus Tech Tips video series about using Linux, because he actually deleted half of the shit that was required on the system. And it was, a lot of people shamed him for it, but it kind of was a fault of Linux, right? Like, who knows what you type yes, do as I say? Like, that's something that'll kill it. I don't know. That is something that I expect a normal user to do. They just click through the prompts until it works. So, that's something that is definitely a problem. But I feel like it's been fixed nowadays. That was recorded, 2020? It's now 2025, and Linux has become more popular. But yeah, the good part is that there's alternatives for these types of software. But for these types, it's kind of difficult. Some alternatives. Right? Okay. Let me read what Mephi said here. I used DDR3 until the spring. CPU offloading was impossible. Even 1 gigabyte in CPU killed performance to unusable levels. It was Quen 2.5. Wow. Yeah, DDR3 will be slow. That's why when you do RAM offloading, you're going to need a lot more than just DDR3. I know a lot of people run DDR5, which is pretty nice, but yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, so CPU offload... with Linux, Mephi previously brought up games, right? And this is a big thing as to why I do not want to move off of Linux. If you guys want, I could talk more about a plan tomorrow, but I don't really want to move to Linux just for the express purpose of gaming. And it's not just, single player gaming. Single player gaming on Linux has gotten really good because of Valve and Proton. Proton is basically a compatibility layer to allow you to run Windows software on Linux, and this is based on the long-standing software called Wine. It basically translates Windows calls to Linux calls so that it can run, and it's really good for that purpose. But the problem is, most of the games I play on my PC have this little thing called anti-cheat. And this is where the Linux problem starts to rear its head. Anti-cheat digs into the Windows kernel. And the kernel is basically the interface between hardware and software. So anti-cheats inject themselves directly into the kernel, into high privilege level access, so it can basically monitor everything that's going on in the system. So games that you play like Overwatch, Fortnite, Valorant especially, that's a huge problem. That's a huge one. Valorant, there's also Call of Duty, right? Even Genshin Impact has a kernel level anti-cheat. So it really, really digs in. I remember Genshin Impact's anti-cheat used to be used for malware back in the day. Like, people extracted the driver and they migrated it over to malware so that it could get privileged access on Windows without any issue. It's a crazy time. But yeah, so they, used a lot of these things. But what these effectively are rootkits. They are third-party software that's installed to gain full privileged access to your computer. It can monitor everything you're doing at the time, especially with Valorant. It actually runs on startup and not game startup, like system startup. So it monitors everything you're doing at any time, right? So that's how Vanguard works. It's that bad. It's that invasive. So if you want to play these types of games, you gotta settle for the fact that you need to have kernel anti-cheat. Now, there's ways to get around it, like, for example, VMs, virtual machines, with GPU pass-through. But not all, but not every single game will work like this, especially Valorant, right? That requires way more than just, hey, we're going to, run everything GPU pass-through, hope everything works. And you also have the high possibility of getting banned in the game. So yeah, when I'm playing with friends, I generally, play these games because it's free, and that's why my friends play. So that's why I'm stuck on Windows for some part, is because of these games, right? And it becomes a huge issue, right? I mean, and one thing about anti-cheat in general is that there are anti-cheat binaries for Linux. But it's up to the developer to implement them. So if the developer doesn't want to implement that Linux binary, then forget about it, right? Nobody's gonna really care about like a 1 to 2% market share, right? No one's gonna care about this. And those that do are amazing, but by enforcing one OS, it reduces the amount of targets that could be present for cheaters to show up. So yeah. It's basically one of those things that's like a necessary evil. Do you want to play your game? Then you gotta run the rootkit. That's basically it. It sucks. It really does. But yeah, I don't know. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the anti-cheat thing. I mean, it's just interesting. There's also a Linux website to like find games that are available for you on Linux. To look at ProtonDB. So this one is used for Steam Deck, and you can see like all the games that work on Linux, either through Wine or through Proton or through other pieces of software. Like if we look at this, there's a native version, and if we look at this, it has Platinum, so it runs perfectly with Proton. So yeah, and then there's also Are We Anti-Cheat Yet? And this just looks for Linux supported games, multiplayer games, that work with anti-cheat. So there are a lot of them that have a lot of issues that just refuse to run completely. I hope Steam Deck becomes a mainstream thing so I can give incentive for devs to support Linux. But yeah, here's the thing about the Steam Deck though. I feel like it's a good device, right? It's a very good device if you want to, run your games portably and stuff like that. But otherwise, it's kind of, nowadays it's dated in terms of hardware. And me personally, like I own a Switch too. A lot of people own the Nintendo Switch, right? And I play a lot of single player games there. Especially Nintendo games, right? Now I know you can emulate them on Steam Deck and everything, which is possible. I mean, legally, emulation, you need a hacked Switch so you can extract the game and all of your keys and play it on the Steam Deck, right? I'm not gonna talk about the illegal way, that's another way to do it, but that is the legal way to do it, so it's its own thing. But yeah, I feel like the Switch has mainly taken more of the handheld market like Nintendo has for years. I do hope, I love competition in the space, right? Especially with Linux and Windows and macOS Windows, and now we have the Steam Deck versus the Switch and then all the other Windows handhelds. So it feels like a more fragmented thing, but the Steam Deck obviously has more of a leg up in that sense. So I do like that, and I really do hope the Steam Deck grows. I agree with you, 100%. But yeah, it seemed a lot of single player games are great on Steam Deck, but the multiplayer games just, aren't really there due to the anti-cheat present. I mean, you could run Windows on the Steam Deck and you could do anti-cheat that way, but it's just like, at that point, like, why the fuck should you really care about it, Unfortunately, things like this are not really going to reach normies, at least in my opinion. So Steam Deck feels like a niche device. Like, to me personally, it feels more bulky than my Switch 2, so I'd rather just carry around Switch 2. That's my understated opinion. But you might have a different opinion. That's fine, and that's good, right? That's the point of discourse. That's the point of technology in general, is to have your own opinion as to what things you want to do. So yeah. That's fun. That's fun. I I 100% agree with you. The competition is always good in every space. But yeah, maybe nowadays Linux will go mainstream. I remember like there was the CrowdStrike thing. I'll talk about it tomorrow actually. The CrowdStrike thing that happened last year. And the main thing about that is that Microsoft is looking into taking all these kernel level drivers out of the kernel and bridging an API so that it's possible to look at these things. And maybe if Microsoft does that, it might be easier to get anti-cheat support in Linux because it's going out of the kernel and it's not observing too many things compared to what it would be. But we have to wait for all the big companies to do all their shit. But yeah, that's its own problem, man. That's its own problem. I don't know. I personally find that Linux, my conclusion is that Linux definitely has room to grow. Like the Linux stonks. I mean, actually, I got you. Hold on. I got you guys. Let's draw this graph. We're gonna write, on the x-axis, we're gonna write interest. And we're gonna write time, right? So right now, the interest is Windows. We're gonna draw Windows in red because it's bad, right? So Windows gonna trend all the way down. Well, Linux, we're gonna get stonks, bro. It's gonna go from like 2% all the way up to 100%, bro. Yo, Linux maxing, let's go. And honestly, that's what a lot of people want to see happen, like the year of the Linux desktop. Stonks, exactly, right? Linux desktop. This has been a meme for a very long time. It's been a meme for so long that I can buy alcohol. That's how long of a meme it's been. It can buy alcohol in the US. It's fucking 20. It's like over 20 years old, man. It's crazy. But yeah, that's what people genuinely want to see. I mean, people meaning like tech bros on Twitter, but they want to see the Linux stonks go up. They want it to be like, oh my god, we got the mainstream OS right here. Let's go, guys. Hell yeah. Fucking god, dude. Oh man, but realistically, I feel like it'll more so be like this. Right? So we're gonna see like Windows still be pervasive. Maybe it'll dip a little bit, and then Linux is like at the 2% curve. It's gonna go up, you know? So the interest and the time. Because again, Windows still comes pre-installed. AI bullshit and all. And Linux is still there, hovering. There's also one thing I do want to talk about. I want Linux to be mainstream. Android appears. Well, listen, bro. Android is a whole other story. I actually talked about in a different server as to how Android is actually becoming more locked down now. It's kind of crazy. I talked about in a previous stream with like the sideloading bullshit. If you guys have an Android phone, you should probably look up what changes Google is making to sideloading on Android. It's mainly for devs, but a lot of your apps probably are going to become more or less unusable to sideload because of the new changes. And depending on what developers want to do. I know there were some people that popped on the stream when I did that, and they're like, Android, you know, a lot of developers just don't want to give their government ID to Google. It's understandable. So, yeah, but Android, yes, it does run on the Linux kernel. Fun fact, I actually started my programming journey by messing around with Android kernels. So, yeah, I'm kind of a veteran, you know, I'm kind of a veteran in that space, you know. I messed with all of the, you know, fun stuff in that case. I know. I find Linux to be very interesting and tinkerable and hackable, but the problem is, using it as a daily driver also requires you to tinker and hack. And, you know, my profession is not exactly time-friendly. So I don't really have time to debug things, unfortunately. I feel like my tastes have really changed, right? Because back in high school, I was using Linux. I was using Android all the time. Oh, we got an ad break. Sorry, guys. But I'll keep yapping. I was using Android all the time, and it was fun. It was interesting to tinker with these things. But as I got older, as work caught up with me, it's like I'm going less into the stuff that, you know, is tinkerable and more into the stuff like I just wanted to fucking work on my phone. I just want my phone to work properly. I want to be able to talk with my friends and not be green bubbled, you know? That's a thing that's still in colleges. What are you talking about? Med school is totally... Shush, Hika, you're in radiology. Go get your scans. Fucking sitting in his room, all comfortable on his work PC. Oh, I'm a radiologist. I don't have to go anywhere. Med school is so time friendly. I don't have any fucking time in the night, man. The only reason I'm able to stream 2 times during the week is because I have weekend time, man. I know some people in this chat right now will agree with me. Oh, man. Oh, you guys, man. Thanks for pulling up, yo. Alright, got the ad break. God damn it. I guess I could just be a freaking sap for a bit. Thanks for coming by, even though I'm, you know, I don't have too much time in my life to stream, but it's always fun. It's always good, you know? It's always good yapping about this shit with you guys. Oh my god, I really need to fix that chat bubble. I'm gonna ask my chat widget person to fix that. But yeah, as a med student, I have no time. And since I have no time... Actually, I'll talk about that after the ad break. Let me get some water. Oh my god. Here we go. Yapping for a long time really does drain your throat, doesn't it? Like, a little bit of background for me is that yapping really originated back... I've always been a public speaker, right? I love speaking to people. I love speaking to crowds. My biggest crowd was like 250 people in one room when I spoke, and it was pretty fucking cool, right? I love yapping about myself. I love not like in a crazy way. I like yapping about stuff I've done, and I like yapping about things that are on the internet. So that's where all of this stuff originated from, because I just like talking about the process of things, you know? I don't know if you guys agree with that. Are you guys like more social in real life? Are you guys more extroverted online? Are you guys more introverted? I mean, it's up to you what you want to say, but I don't know. What do you guys think? LOL. Okay, I really should. I really should have asked. Okay, ad break's done. So what I was asking you guys, like, are you guys more extroverted or introverted in real life, online, etc.? Like, what are you guys? Because I'm a big public speaker personally. I love yapping. I love talking about myself. I love talking about things that I find, things I like explaining the process of. What do you guys, think? How are you guys more introverted? Are you guys more extroverted? Some of you people I already know. I've talked with you guys enough to know that which one you are, but I'd love to know. I'd love to see what the general consensus is over here as to how you guys feel about many things. About like your public speaking, what is it? Public speaking prowess? Is that how I'd say it? I don't know. I use fancy words all the time. But yeah, back to the part about the med student. So since I'm a med student, I have decreased time. Since I have decreased time, I can't tinker. It's out of the question. And since I can't tinker, I have to run Windows, Mac OS. I got an iPhone. Right, stuff that just works out of the box and doesn't have like 50 tons of bloat in it. Well, except Windows, that's its own thing. We don't talk about the bloat there. We don't talk about the Candy Crush in Windows. But yeah, besides the Windows bloat, I find that, all of my Apple devices are at least pretty clean and can be set up pretty quickly from iCloud backups. And Windows, it just works for me. And that's why I'm going to stick on it for the time being. My system hasn't blown up. And all the stuff that people brought up in the tweet and in Discord were really good discourse, right? Some people, were more or less, hey, you shouldn't be using Microsoft. You should hate Microsoft. Hey, Kenzie, I have stage fright, so I can never talk to you. Yeah, that's fair. Right. I know a lot of people have stage fright. I think, what is it? I know, like, I just did psych, so I'm just thinking about the diagnoses that I just did on my exam. But one of them is, like, social anxiety disorder with, like, performance-only features. It's a diagnosis. So it's like, oh, you go up to the stage and you try and speak and you just start clamming up. But then everything else is fine when you're just yapping in general. But then there's, like, oh, you have fear, you have anxiety going into social situations, just in general. Like, you go with a group of friends. And that's, like, you make yourself feel you get extremely worried at every social interaction. That's, like, social anxiety disorder. And the treatments are different, because why the fuck wouldn't they be? God, psych is a crazy field. I'm so glad I'm out of it, man. I feel like psychiatry is just one of those fields where it's like, here you go. It's like, here's the thing. So, in primary care, when a person comes in with, like, a depressed mood, you usually do, like, a suicide risk assessment. I'm gonna write SRA here for short. And then you'd also do, like, a PHQ, which is used for depression assessment. And if you have, like, anxiety, right, you'd do, like, a GAD-7. in psych, and you just say like, oh, patient has depression, right? Or they might have major depressive disorder. In psych, you go a little bit deeper than that. You have depressed mood. Do the suicide risk assessment, right? You always do that. You don't do a PHQ. You look at, you know, the depression acronyms. You also look at, you know, history of mania, the drugs they're taking, and you can also like diagnose, is this major depressive disorder? Right? Or is it adjustment disorder? Or is it just stress? Is it bereavement? So there's like 50 different types of depression. And it's like, bro, how am I gonna, there's like different time frames for everything. I'm just like, man, I'm just looking at the questions of just like, bro, how the fuck do I know? It's like, I like this side. This side scares me. You know, I don't know, how do you guys feel about that? It's just like, there's different time frames and everything, and then you just put them on the drug, you put them on the therapy, and then God knows if it's gonna work. So then you switch them off. It's just, I'm not gonna talk enough about psych. I'm just venting about it at this point. But yeah, I'm the first one is funny. Oh my god. But yeah, so what else did I want? Oh yeah, someone mentioned me about something. Hold on. Back to the Windows. Sorry, I've talked about Windows a lot, but I'm gonna go back to it. Okay. I gotta find it. 1 second, guys. Someone pinged me about this. Oh, here. This is so fucking funny. When I saw it in the morning today. Here. Microsoft breaks localhost with Windows 11 October update. Users forced to revert. Dude, how in the living fuck do you break localhost? If you guys don't know what localhost is, basically whenever you run an application or you're testing an application, if you ever entered this IP, this is equal to localhost. It's basically an IP that's a loopback server. So it's basically your computer as a network address. So breaking localhost is pretty big because every dev out there tests via localhost. In fact, Tabby API, y'all's, all the software I write is running locally on your system, right? So you can access it from there via localhost. You can't access your own network applications because localhost is cooked. It's bad. How in the living fuck did they break this? Let's see. Okay. Just 2 days after Windows 10 reached its end of life. Wow, they really had to rub it in, huh? Microsoft's latest Windows 11 October's update had to become Surface. Users have reported that the localhost functionality is now broken. This problem affecting millions of web devs, yep, like I said, that are unable to run applications on their own PCs. This update focuses on security. Everything focuses on security. However, it disrupts the localhost function, a virtual host name that allows a PC to serve as its own server. This feature is commonly used by local developers, yada yada yada. The community has managed to solve this by just deleting the package alongside the September update. Oh, jeez. Dude. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm giggling a little too much, but man, this is crazy. How the fuck did they break localhost, dude? Okay, software engineers have reported... Okay, so nobody knows why it broke. They just know that it did break. I'm surprised that Windows still requires reboot for many updates, and whenever it update... Listen, Mephi. When you think Windows updates are slow, try updating a MacBook. That shit is very slow. That shit is slow as hell, dude. Oh my god. Like, Mac OS updates, it installs, right? Then you have to restart your computer, and the little progress bar comes up. It takes like, what, 15 minutes? And depending on like if you're going through a major version, it takes like 30 minutes to update your Mac to the latest version. It is so bad. I have to grab like 6 cups of coffee figuratively for that. I don't drink caffeine, by the way. So yeah, like... Oh my god. Sorry. There we go. Let's clear my throat. But yeah. Oh, jeez. The issue stack for a Windows 11 keeps piling up. On Monday, Microsoft accidentally broke the media creation tool just ahead of Windows 10's EOL. Bro, how did they fumble this so badly? So if you guys don't know, the media creation tool is how you create like a USB drive so you can install Windows onto your PC. Since this is broken now, it's just like, okay. In fact, the media creation tool is quite literally required to get like an ISO. Let me actually see. Maybe it's changed. Let me see if you can get an ISO. No. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, you can use something called installations. Okay, never mind then. We're good. But yeah, the fact that that broke is kind of crazy, bro. Holy shit. How do you... I don't know what network fuck-ups that Microsoft did, but how'd they fuck up localhost, bro? It's like the most generic thing that they can fuck up. It just breaks every single developer's workflow. When Windows 8 was a thing, one of the laptops at work had constant 100% usage due to a Windows update. No, we couldn't fix it. No. Another thing about Windows, man. Oh, God. I understand why, but I also don't get why people can't just use is auto win update. Back in like early Windows 10, there used to be an option for manual updates, right? So manual updating was basically like, hey, if you want to update something, click it and it'll update, right? But they got rid of that throughout the life cycle. So late Windows 10 now doesn't have this, right? So every single update has to be automatic, meaning that randomly you're going to see like dialogues that say update and restart, update and shut down. And then eventually the normal restart and shutdown options are going to disappear. So you have to update your PC in order for you to shut it down, unless you want to manually hold the power button just out of like passive aggressiveness to Microsoft. Like, fuck you. But maybe sometimes it'll just start updating on its own randomly. It's just like, bro, come on, man. So late Windows 10, also Windows 11 comes with automatic updates by default, right? So automatic only. And that's just something that people dislike, but I also understand it. Like, you know, Windows being 98% of the market share is also very vulnerable, right? People are trying to discover security vulnerabilities for Windows all the time. I don't really think they're trying to discover security issues on Mac and Linux, because the fuck wants to hack a MacBook? And who the fuck wants to hack a Linux system? There's no reason to do so. So, and also, you know, the Linux kernel and the Mac system are more robust than Windows from what I've heard. I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on that, but there's a lot more malware on Windows. So I guess by pushing security updates automatically, this decreases the amount of possible malware infections for people who are like, you know, your grandma, for example, versus you. So I understand why they do automatic only, but shoving it down your throat, man, I don't know. I mean, it used to be the default, right? It used to just be like, oh, it's going to be automatic by default, but you could switch it to manual if you want to. Now everybody has to go through automatic updates. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like, why? What's the point? Right? I don't know. Do you guys agree? Do you guys think that's a good idea? Because I personally am just like, I always ignore the update and restart prompt until I actually have to use it, or Windows just is like, I reboot my system, it just starts updating randomly. I think one time I was late to like a Zoom class because Windows was just updating on me and took like 5 years. But I think the only one, I know macOS also has manual updating, but I think Linux is the best with updates because it depends on the distro, right? So Linux distros, for example, like Ubuntu, the updates are versions. So you basically type apt upgrade or something that allows you to just completely upgrade the systems from like 24 to 25, or in LTS's case 26, right? So you're gonna go from there. But on Arch, it's rolling release. So you're just gonna upgrade the system package. And that basically updates your Arch system. So that's the interesting part about Linux distros. Like, personally, on my own GitHub projects, I go rolling release because, you know, who has the time to publish versions, you know? Especially in the world of AI where everything is changing like every single day. So it's just like, I'm out here, I'm vibing, and just like, oh my god, we got everything rolling. We got this new architecture coming out. Like, bro, we gotta push the new build all immediately. Ah, man. Rolling release distro, you get headache. Exactly, right? That's the problem with rolling release, is that when you upgrade this package and it fucks up, you're fucked. You have to roll everything back, and that's a huge issue. This can be solved by like time shift, right? For backups. I used to use it. It's pretty good. I think you could also use ButterFS and ZFS for like snapshotting. That's also a thing. I personally, in a previous stream, I actually set up ButterFS. It was pretty good. I liked it. It was fun. But I personally, you know, I'm not a big fan of... I personally use it for my NAS. It's great. It works. But I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. So, yeah, Windows update system is so toxic, man. It's terrible. You want to know what else is terrible? I've been talking about Windows on PCs for like the longest time. What about Windows on a laptop? Before I continue this, you guys want to say anything about Windows on laptops? I know you guys love it. Very beautiful. You guys want to talk about it? Oops. My OBS fucked up. Anyways, so let's talk about Windows on a laptop. So, here's the thing. You see, a desktop is always connected to AC power. Meaning that there's no batteries included. Unless you have, like, a UPS, right? Which isn't really like a battery. It's more so if your power goes out, you can safely shut down your PC. But AC power is how your desktop is on. And, you know, it's more of like a bigger thing. You have a lot of fans. And cooling can be managed, even if the OS is inefficient. The laptops, on the other hand, are small. Alright, so they're very small. They have batteries. They have fans. Small fans, right? They can have, like, iGPU, for example, iGPU, DGPU, whatever. This is where the problem comes in. Windows is very, very inefficient compared to Linux. So on laptops, I'd say Linux is greater than Windows for, like, efficiency purposes. Right? Linux is so much better in terms of running it. The only problem is the software. Right? So if you don't have the right software, then you're kind of cooked. You know? But I find Linux to be way better than Windows for laptops, just because it's more efficient. And I feel like the true king of laptops is the MacBook from 2020 plus. Because of the M series chips, you know, you're running on ARM, so you got the benefits of increased battery life and decreased thermals. Like my M4 Pro, it almost never gets hot. That is the beautiful part about it. Unless it's running like some very intensive Intel application, it is a powerhouse. So that's why I have this guy. But if you have like your normal laptop, Windows is a huge sucker. Like for example, I used to own like an HP Spectre and a Dell XPS. So these are like Ultrabooks. Right, these are very slim computers. They're designed to be carried around your bag, you know, pretty straightforward stuff. But what ended up happening was the fan was always on for some stupid reason. I don't know why. It's just like, it keeps spinning. It's like, it's going brr, it's going everywhere. And the reason why was because of fucking Windows Defender. Basically, the anti-malware service kept scanning my PC for some reason. Whenever it was scanning my PC, it just used way more of my CPU. And by using way more of my CPU, it started causing my fans to spin up. And I'm just like, okay, bro, like, like what the fuck you want me to do? My PC is getting hot as my laptop's getting hot as shit while I'm trying to work. And it's just like, what the fuck do I do? I paid like thousands of dollars for this damn computer that I thought was gonna last me for a long time. And the next thing you know, it's spinning up. And I didn't own a PC back then, so I was like, you know, I want to play games. I used like a Thunderbolt GPU, and yeah, it was a fun time back in the day. But it was a huge headache running a Windows laptop. So whoever says like Windows laptops are trash, I agree with you. I don't like them at all. I highly recommend, if you can, get Linux on your laptop because it'll be so much more efficient on you. Seriously. I've really had it. I just really had it with Windows on a laptop. I don't know. Maybe you guys have had different experiences. Maybe you guys don't really care about the fact that your laptops get hot. But when it's on my knees, when I'm trying to work in like the hospital or something, never in my life do I want that to happen. I don't wanna lose my family jewels, man. Oh god. But yeah, so Windows laptops are pretty bad. I guess what Mango was saying previously, they had laptop issues and they're like, it runs like shit. I get better battery life on Linux Mint. And that's because Windows is just inefficient on a laptop. It's just a known fact at this point. So yeah. Unfortunately, most laptops do ship with Windows because, you know, that's how the cookie crumbles. So yeah, I pretty much exhausted what I want to go over today. You guys have any questions for me? Anything you want to ask? Just shout it out. I'm not going to end the stream just yet. I do want to, you know, talk about the Astro part of the stream, mainly show off my website and stuff like that. But yeah, any questions, anything you want to, you know, yap to me about, I'm okay with doing it. Nevertheless, let us go to get a drink of water. Also, some housekeeping. Sorry. For those of you that come from Discord, if you guys aren't in my Discord, why aren't you? You should join. It's a beautiful place. But for those of you that are in my Discord, there's like these things called... There's like a bunch of VTuber stuff that is on like every VTuber. There's like a fan name. I also have like channel points. And there's also, you know, the Oshi mark thing. I don't know. I don't really subscribe to the idol part of VTubing. I think it's really stupid in my opinion, but to each their own. There's like a couple of symbols that go after the name. So if you guys want to, you know, talk about that, feel free to let me know. I'd be interested in choosing one, just to, you know, give you guys a name, because right now I just call you chat, or I call you or I call myself a dumbass, but I call you guys chat or something. So yeah, whatever you guys want. Anyways, let's continue going. So just close all this garbage. All right, so let me show you guys what I wanted to do for the latter half of the stream, and we're just gonna work on this for a little bit. So this is my website, right? I mean, my name is here. I'm pretty open with it. So I talk about all my work and things like that. And my website is built on... I mean, I'll just show the Monami website that I always show on most of my streams. So this is Monami right here. I talk all about her in the website. I have a little gallery section with like zoom in, credits to artists and everything. Pretty cool. But yeah, so what I want to talk about is the website itself. Right, so the website runs on a framework called Next.js, and it uses a tech stack called React. I think with modern web development is that everything requires a framework, right? So you need to use, so there's frameworks like React, Next.js, or sorry, there's like software frameworks like React, Vue, Svelte, Angular, I think Solid is another one. There's a bunch of like, web is like a huge conglomerate monstrosity of just 50 different technologies at once. It is insanity, to say the least. So right now, my current stack is just Next.js and React to host a static HTML and CSS website, right? This is all, this is all built. It's just raw HTML and CSS, some JavaScript being served on here. But the thing is, I used to use Next.js back in 2020 and React back in 2020, right? But the thing about that is that it's just kind of, you know, bloated. It's very bloated. I don't like it anymore. Next.js has become more or less closed compared to other frameworks. Like, it's made by a company. It's made by a company called Vercel. And the thing is, it's optimized for Vercel. And Vercel only for a lot of things. So if I want to use a Next.js website, it's best to run it on Vercel. I don't really want that. I want to run my site anywhere. Right? There are site hosts that allow you to run websites anywhere you want them to. Right? So I personally find that Vercel kind of sucks in that case. So I want to move away from the bloated, in my case, framework to something that's a little bit more lightweight and see if it is actually a good thing, you know? So let me just show you guys what I mean. Next.js. And we're gonna do some live coding because I haven't done that in a while. This is Next.js, right? It has a lot of extra stuff. This is the thing with websites, web dev, right? It's just It's just like a bunch of extra superfluous crap on top of everything. It's just, oh god. So it's really good for web apps, right? If you want to make like a full stack web app that has a front end, back end, whatever. But otherwise, it's kind of bloated for static. So there's this thing called Astro. I think it's called this. That allows you to make more static content-driven websites. And the static content-driven website is this one. Right, so I feel like migrating to something like Astro is definitely going to help me make a more extendable website, a more, you know, website that's more focused for my purpose as opposed to using Next.js. Now, I know a lot of people say, like, hey, you shouldn't be flipping around with frameworks and languages, but why not, right? I mean, it's good to try. So what I'm probably going to start doing is seeing how to migrate from Next.js to Astro and just live code it. And I'm just going to be yapping through it, trying to go through the stuff. But if you guys want to see, like, if you guys have questions about, like, what I'm doing and stuff, just ask me. But yeah, let's do migrate from... Oh, I have it right here. I did a lot of baseline research in this area. So yeah. There's just, like, a lot of guide stuff that I'm probably just going to go through on stream. See how easy it is, right? And if it's a little bit hard, I'm probably just going to do it in my own time, and then we'll just start the Astro stuff in maybe tomorrow's stream. Because I actually have time tomorrow to stream. Yay, that's fun. So yeah. I would love to stream more days a week. Yeah, my schedule doesn't allow me to do so. Since I have more time, that's the good thing. Okay. So let's see here. And if you guys also have something you want to share, you want me to look at, please forward it over. Go into my website here. Pink site. Okay. So let me just open this in VS Code and I'll just show you guys what I have. There we go. So as you can see, this is my website. Pretty big boy. It has a lot of pages, a lot of components. I've been working on this website since 2020 actually, and it's all self-built, right? I built every single bit of this website, all the UI, everything, just by CSS classes. So yeah, I'm very proud of this entire thing, and we're gonna migrate it over. Right, so let's do it. So we're gonna want to. The first thing we're gonna want to do is I'm gonna make a new terminal. Make an Astro website here. All right. Oops. Okay, now let's look at the guide. So to see the guide, what we need to look at first is we need to use a create Astro command. So npm. Okay, it's pretty easy. So let's do this. We're just gonna run npm pnpm create Astro. Actually, let me see how to set up a Tailwind. 1 second. Tailwind, CSS, Astro. Let's see what's happened in this case. npm create Astro, npm install Tailwind CSS. Okay, so you just configure it manually. Okay, sweet. So npm create Astro at latest. We're not going to create with an example. There's no reason to. Let's actually see. What is the repository? Okay, we do not have... Oh, wait, we want to add the React extension. Starter template, here we go. So an official example, what did they look like? Ooh. What's all this? Yeah, SRC, pages. Okay, that's pretty nice, actually. Hold on. Oh, with Tailwind CSS, beautiful. Okay, that's what I want. Okay, so let's run with that. And they're also going to want to add React. So let's do that. So Tailwind CSS is basically, you know, a framework that allows for the language of the web to run. So basically, let me just go to a component here. You see all of these lines here? That's basically all Tailwind CSS. So all of these are CSS classes, and you can just inline all of them. We got an ad break, so while the ad break is going, I guess I've kind of figured this bullshit out. Oh, Lord. All right. So, where the fuck do I do this? All right, so we're gonna want to. What the fuck is the double dash? Okay, so what is this command? We have npm create. Okay, so that's normal. We have this double dash here for some reason. Then we have this add. What's the double dash? Is it saying like options? What the fuck? Okay, sure. I'll just run in the terminal real quick and see if that works. So pnpm create Astro. I'm gonna move this to my other monitor. pnpm create Astro at latest. Double dash add React template. And then we're going to get the width Tailwind CSS. See if that works. Oh, it's doing it. Where should we create your project? Okay. Yes. Yeah, sure. Okay, fancy. Alright, I got ad break going. Damn, that's crazy. Damn, it's very fancy, man. The fuck? Why is this install so fucking colorful? Bruh. And now it's taken 5 years, of course it is. Oh, okay, it's done. Yay, okay. Let's open up. Oh, for the love of God. Man, alright. Oh, for PowerShell. Fuck you. I've been working with Mac for way too long. Delete Square Star. Alright. Let's try this again. Where should create your new project? Oh. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Yes. Now it should install in the folder that I'm in. Hey. It's doing its thing. It's doing its thing. Taking 5 fucking years, that's for sure. Jeez. Web. Everyone talks about like the npm modules folder being so massive. Nobody understands why the npm modules folder. Everyone's like, why npm modules? Nobody's like, how is npm modules? Everybody loves them. I certainly do. Not. Okay. We got a bunch of components. Okay, that's great. There is no syntax highlighting for Astro. And of course not. Okay, let me find an extension. Ah, beautiful. There's a full-fledged extension for Astro. Beautiful. Exactly what I want. There we go. Looks good. So, Astro is a weird framework where it basically ships static HTML and CSS, and then you like run all of your JavaScript in here, and you can also isolate the job. So let me show you, actually. So here's what React is. All right, so React is basically, you have the web page, and it's just a blank canvas. So it's like a URL bar, and you have this blank canvas. And everything is rendered at like load time. And it's all done client side. Or server side. Depending on the framework you're using. If you're using Next.js, it'll be server side. Now with Astro, all of your content is published as static. So it doesn't require any client-side rendering. So everything is static here. And let's just say you want some interactive area of your content. So you can mark it as such as an island that could be written in any framework. It could be Svelte, Vue, React, whatever. And this island is interactive, meaning that you can talk with it. And since it's an interactive island, you know, you can write JS in it, and you can make it run client-side. Or server-side. Depending on what you want to do. So that's the differences, right? So theoretically, and experimentally, Astro should be faster in a lot of ways, because everything in here is static, right? So it's just being loaded without any second thought. Over here, it should be slower, right? I believe with static sites, it really doesn't change much. But especially when it comes to stuff like this with HTML and CSS, it's way faster. So I want to see the build times, the run times, the lighthouse score, everything. And I also want to deblow up my website. So yeah, that's the reason why I want to hit Astro and see if it's working. Okay, so we imported an Astro project. We got Tailwind CSS in here from the looks of it. Okay, so I need to change that. Pages, markdown page. Let's try running this, shall we? What are the... Ah, beautiful. pnpm dev, run the server. See what happens. Okay. Localhost 4321. Very interesting localhost path. Didn't know you could do that. All these websites that load a weird empty template and they decide, yep, that's how React works, right? So React is like, you know, you have this empty template and then it hydrates itself as the JavaScript loads in. That's React in a nutshell. Pretty cool. Okay. So React, oh, not that, localhost. And again, if I was on the October update, this would be broken. Hey, there we go. Nice. Oh, fancy. Look at what they did. Ooh, popping up. Very cool. Very shiny. Oh my fucking god. What does this do? Oh, okay. This is even more. Oh, wait. This is just the Astro Dev. Okay. So this is just the Astro Dev toolbar. This is not like part of the website, bro. I thought this was part of the website, man. Okay, but. Okay. Wow, confetti. Markdown. What's this show? October downgrade. Oh, that's cool. So if you have like a markdown page, oh yeah, it just renders it. That makes sense. Oh yeah, one thing, right? I mean, if you create markdown, which is like a, you know, way to format text in code, it'll do all the formatting for you. That's pretty cool. Oh wait, no, I see why. They kind of copped out on it, not gonna lie, because they added HTML and markdown. It's not just styling the man, that's such a cop out, bro. What the fuck? Ah, man, that sucks. All right. Basically, when you write markdown, let me show you. Actually, GitHub. Show you guys the tabby markdown stuff. So, this is there we go. This is ideally what markdown is supposed to look like, right? And it's rendered all nice and pretty on the website. What these fuckers did is they just put all of the HTML in the market cake, bro. Fuck off, man. Whatever. Okay, so... Oh, that's kind of loud. Okay, I'm gonna lower that for you guys, sorry. What I'm gonna do is let me find the migration guide. Where'd it go? Here we go. From Next.js. Okay. So each project will be different. Okay, we got the template. Install integrations when you add React. Fine. Alright, so keep Next public folder untouched. Astro uses the public directory for static assets, just like Next, which we have. Copy or move Next's other files or folders into Astro's SRC folder as we rebuild our site, following Astro's project structure. SRC, public, package. Okay, so what's in here? Okay, so pages is all here, so I assume that's where all of our URL paths go to. Interesting, interesting. There's all the Astro stuff. Okay. The Astro config file. We have an Astro config file, probably. Okay, so let's just do this, I guess. So we're going to copy over all the Next.js stuff into my Astro directory. Let me just do this from File Explorer. You guys aren't really going to see this. Just give me a second. I'm going to copy that. Copy pages, public. And I also need my components folder. That's where my React components are. Paste all that in here. Oh yeah, replace it. It's fine. Okay, so we got all that in here. We're going to drag in pages and components into the SRC folder as it asked for. Let's take... Oh shit, I gotta close the Next.js. Here. Again. Where is it open? Oh, it's open VS Code. Damn it! There we go. Alright, moved it in. Okay, now... Public folder's untouched. Everything is moved. Okay, SRC pages, folders, file-based routing. Alright, let's check this and see... Oh, I also probably should copy the styles folder. Let me do that as well. Because I have a bunch of styles that I use on my website already. It's gonna look a little weird because I change up how I do things. Yes, okay, beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna open up VS Code again. Let me do it the last time. No. There we go. Let me show you guys what it looks like. Windows File Explorer can be such a pain in the ass. That's why I code my website on my Mac primarily. Anyways, so we got all of the shit, all my TypeScript stuff in here, and then we got the Astro page, which is great. Which means either I can run all of these perfectly fine, or I'm gonna have to rewrite everything in Astro, which is not gonna be fun. But let's see what they ask me to do. Oh, Lord. Oh, let's see. This is useless. Here we go, Astro config. Tailwind CSS. Okay, you can shut up. So the Tailwind CSS plugin is in. Astro React is in, so we have the integration set up. Okay, I don't see a problem here, which is good. Let's see what the guide says. Okay, so put all the code in SRC. So convert JSX files to Astro files. Oh god. Use the return JSX of the existing Next.js component function as the basis for your HTML template. Change any Next or JSX syntax to Astro HTML web standards. This includes link, script, children, class name, example. Move any necessary JavaScript into a code fence. JavaScript to conditionally render content. Use astro.props to access any additional props. And then just okay, so let's see. So we're gonna have to do some elbow grease now, I guess. Just to see like if we can migrate it. Okay. I'm a little scared. But we're gonna try. Oh man, I love web dev, guys. I really love web dev. Holy shit. Alright, so what do I need to do here? So the index, does the index just work as is? What? There's no like pre-file or anything like that? What the fuck? Okay, I guess we can try it. So let's delete this. We don't need you. I don't think Astro will load. Oops. Oh. I love JavaScript. You have to run pnpm to run the fucking package. Unsupport file type. Great. Let me see what localhost shows me. Oh, this is gonna be so cooked. Localhost 4321. Boom. See what it does. 404, not found. Let's go. I actually gotta change that so it looks better, but yeah, let's go. We got our first Astro page, guys. It's the 404 page. I love that so much. As you guys know, 404 means it's not found. I feel like that's one of the errors that everybody knows about. Maybe we could go over like website errors tomorrow or something. That'd be pretty funny. Okay, let's see what I can do. Jeez. 404 blog. Okay, so let's go to index and try and just get that one. Oh, dear God. I need to configure TypeScript so it uses the @ symbol for the root directory. Well, let me make it do that real quick because otherwise it's gonna be such a pain in the ass to work with. This is the beautiful part about TypeScript and Node.js. It's terrible. Like, compared to Dino, which is what I write y'alls in, it's just like normal TypeScript in Dino is just so much better. Node TypeScript is such a pain in the ass. My account didn't know 404, 500 or anything else. Called in panic is crazy. No. Okay. So if you guys do want to ever have a nice way to learn HTTP error codes, look at HTTP cats. Oh man, this is the best. So 100, continue. Where's 404? So 400 bad request. Fuck you. There's also 404, not found. HTTP cats. 405 methodology. There's a status code called I'm a teapot. Hold on. Yeah, this one. Oh my god. I gotta forward this to one of the people. I gotta forward this in Discord. I know someone who will love it. I'm a teapot. This dude's snacking on weed, bro. Oh man. Yeah, so let's see 500. 500 internal server error. The cat is pulling at the fucking cables. But yeah, if you want to know like a funny representation of HTTP error codes that you just see all the time, then this is the way to do it. HTTP cats is good. But if you want the code way to see it, MDN. MDN is basically just a documentation website for most web APIs. So if you want to see like everything and where it's supported, then you can just, you know, go to MDN and see it. But I feel like this is a cool way, a better way of seeing it, you know? HTTP cats, bro. I can't lie about I mean, I think everyone likes the cat also to use it. Yeah, let's go. There's an API. There's a Rust API for HTTP cats. Hell yeah. I know a lot of you guys love cats in stream, online, whatever, so glad to show that to you. But yeah, let's continue with this Astra bullshit and see what the fuck I can do. I already have a TS config, so we're gonna just copy all that garbage and put it in here. We're going to get rid of the... Oh, this is old. Holy shit. Okay. Conspiratorially, I'm a dog. Okay. I'm also a dog person. Please don't crucify me. I am a dog person. I like dogs more than cats. I mean, cats like to just do their own thing. Dogs get excited when you get home. So it's like, I don't know. I'm more of a dog person personally. But if you're a cat person, I like cat videos. So yeah. People are gonna start calling me a monster. As you guys know, I am a monster. Not really. Okay. Oh, jeez. I saved it, and then the entire server just exploded. Oh, jeez. Okay, let's fix that. Let's get rid of the node modules folder. Oh, wait, I have it here. No node modules. Don't type check that shit. Oh, God, I can't spell. Mod dudes. Ah, yes, I love node mod dudes in the morning, you know? Fucking God, bro. Alright, let's get rid of all this stuff for now. Okay, now we should be good. Oh, we use Vite for all this stuff. Cool. I actually wanted to try using Vite, but I wasn't really sure. Let's just rerun Astra manually and see if it works. Oh. Well, that's fun. React anchor link smooth scroll, next image, next link, React bootstrap icons, next document. Okay, yeah, we gotta import all of these things. Oh lord. Alright. This is gonna be fun. Alright, so let's get the... Really... For now, I'm just gonna keep the old TypeScript as is, because I think it's complaining about a few things. Nope. Okay, it's just normal. Great. I think I figured out why I stopped doing web dev. Damn it. It's also like almost midnight and I am way too tired for this shit. I might just do this tomorrow, I'm not gonna lie, and just cover the meta thing. But yeah, let's paste this in here. See what happens. Okay. Beautiful. All the paths are set. Dist is being excluded. We're gonna exclude the node modules. Oh my god, there's a GitHub issue. Hold on, let me try and find it. Node modules. GitHub issue. Let's see what that looks like. You... Man, I need to find this issue, bruh. No, I can't see it. Okay. There was like this issue where this guy is creating an issue saying, "Stop posting node modules, Sam, you fucking shitter." I have to find it, dude. I gotta show you guys. It's the funniest issue thread I read in such a long time. Do you guys have like any GitHub issues that you guys have just seen that's just like, what the fuck am I looking at? Oh, yeah, wait, there is one. I'll find it. 1 second. Oh my god. No, it's gone. Oh, but here's the Reddit, bro. Oh my god. No, not this one. Hi, I Fixie Wixie the JSON API Foxy Wuxy XPP. I replaced the prototype's funcks with the more streamlined kawaii prototype weed and fucking funcks object that make the JS go super duper fast. XD starts twerking. Can you please merge my pull request senpai? This guy's reaction is just what I think. Like, what in the name of fuck is this? I think this person made way more PRs with the same shit. It's just like, oh my god. I actually made a Discord bot that uwuifies like any text that you put into it. I should add Court Jester to my Royal Lab, but dude, it's so funny. Thanks for the violent psychic battering. Thanks for my brain cells commit apoptosis. You're welcome. You're welcome. Anytime, man. Anytime. I'm very happy to make you guys psychically disturbed. Then Lev can fix you up for a fee. You see, that's how I drive business to this psychiatrist VTuber. I fuck you up by telling you stupid shit. And yeah. My GitHub issues is deciphering what Llama CPP features it implements, removed, and re-added again. Okay, well, here's the thing. You see, y'all's is made with Llama CPP, and when y'all's breaks, I gotta decipher what in ever holy shit did Llama CPP change to make y'all's fuck up. And then I gotta edit C++ code, which, just so you know, I'm not a C++ master. My friend Coffee is. So, yeah. It's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Hope you do. Oh my god, but yes, so let's see. Alright. So head, image, monomy. Okay, so I'm gonna go to index and try and make this work. Why is this @ symbol not working? I fixed the paths. Let's just restart the server and see if it yells at me. Okay, nope, it's still yelling at me. Okay, great. Oh god, okay. Let me just ask Copilot. Oops. Read my tsconfig and see why the @ declarations. Oh wait, that's why. Actually, @/src. Ah, I didn't need AI. I could use my own brain. Wow. Have you guys ever used that before? I was just about to jump to Claude and ask her, yo, why is my shit breaking? Oh, that's why. I'm just stupid. Okay, so here's what we gotta do. It says use front matter to rename this to index.astro. Uh-oh. Okay. Does my phone, my ectopic brain count? Sure, Hika. Sure, we can say it counts. Okay. Let's get rid of this React fragment. We want to get rid of the return here. And then we're going to want to shift these all to the left. We want to get rid of this head. Rename it as such. We're going to give it some head, you know? I'm sorry. I can't make those jokes on the stream. Fuck. Alright, let's see if it worked. I'm praying to God that it worked properly. If it didn't, I'll be sad. Oh, oh God. It didn't just not work. It didn't work spectacularly. Look at this beauty. Oh my God, I can't find the module. Oh shit. No. Okay, let's fix that. I was actually experimenting with this earlier, trying to figure out why it broke. And the reason why it broke is because I'm just stupid. And I actually have... So basically, in my current website... Let me just actually show you. I feel like website building is more showing than telling. So in my website, I have scrolling. Right, this nice smooth scrolling here. Right, so it scrolls down. So this is used by... I actually used a dependency for this. You know, React anchor link smooth scroll. It was just like a 6-year-old dependency. But it turns out... let me find it. Yeah, here. So it turns out that I actually had this in here the entire time. So there's actually a property in web that allows you to have smooth scrolling behavior on your website. Oops, that's not what I want to. So if we look at the smooth scroll, see an MDN. So if you use this here, you can see that when I click these, it scrolls nice and smooth. But when I click this, it just jumps. Right, so that's how scrolling works. So I had this globally set to smooth for the longest time. I just didn't know. So whenever I make a link and you click on it in the same page, it's going to scroll to that, smoothly scroll to that area. So I had that enabled this entire time, and I just had like a dependency in there for no fucking reason. I can just get rid of it. Like I can get rid of it and nothing will be lost. Let me show you. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of this. Okay. Oh wait, I need to make it just an A. Just like that. Okay, so we do that. Okay. And oh my God. I'm just gonna comment out the stuff I don't need real quick. We're gonna comment out the socials. You're gonna yell at me now? Please. Okay, it didn't yell at me. We got 200. What's that mean? What's that mean? Oh, fuck. Wait. What's the... Oh! Oh, no! Yo, that doesn't look right, man. Oh... Yeah, I mean, here's the HTML. No, bro, that looks so wrong. Okay, let's fix that. How do I migrate the CSS, man? I forgot. Shit. Let's fix. Back to primitive. Back to caveman, bros. I'm sorry. We're in caveman years, man. It's unfortunate. Let's fix this. Where's the GitHub? Help me. Help me, Astro. I don't know what I'm doing. So styles is here. Global.css. So we have that, right? Oh. Oh. Aha. Get the fuck out of here. Ah, there you go. You got to rename that. There's actually... So, speaking of retro 1989 websites, there's like this whole trend of like NeoCities websites. It's like websites of old. So yeah, it's like gives that 1980s aesthetic. Let's see. You had one? Oh shit. Yeah, so NeoCities is the one where they're like the fancy single page websites. It's kind of cool. Okay, let me just see why in the ever-loving shit is my styles not working. Why are my CSS styles not working? God. Copilot, shut up. Fuck you. Let me first examine your current file and the CSS setup in your project. Index.astro page is missing a layout wrap. What? Oh, shit. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I need to fix that. Oh, I have it in agent mode. I guess Claude's gonna fix it for me. We'll see. Oh, God. What the hell is... Aw, shit. I also forgot that I have some custom colors in there. Okay, can you, like, shut up for 2 seconds? Let me just, like, do the thing I want to do. Thank you. Uh-oh. The fuck? Well, it just changed my entire... Okay. Oh my... Okay. Fuck you. Let's fix that. I think I fucked something up. I'm gonna delete all this garbage. Okay, we don't need this. I'm gonna look at the... I don't think Claude really is gonna help me here, so I'm just gonna look at the Astro examples and see what I can do from there, because that is you. Layouts. Okay, so layouts aren't required in this case because we're just starting up new project. Okay. This is definitely doable. I'm just really stupid right now. That's the problem. Here we go. Any Astro repository in GitHub. See what a... Oops, that's not what I want. Official integrations. Official example. Here we go. So let's look at the example and see what they did. So we're using the Tailwind CSS application. Let's go to SRC. Let's go to pages and let's see the index. Okay, here we go. So we have the HTML tag. That's exactly what I want. So I'm going to write that down here. So we're going to write HTML. Wow, I haven't written static HTML in so long. This is like beginner, like high school computer science class days. Do you guys remember those times? Man, those are like old days, bro. Everybody uses like all these web frameworks now. It's like going back to the basics. I don't know how long ago you guys were in high school, but it wasn't long. It wasn't that long ago for me. I'm not... Oh, we got an ad break. Fun. All right. I'm gonna keep working on this, but yeah, it wasn't like, you know, a long time ago. More like a few years ago. You could probably tell. I think it said my age in chat before. I don't remember. Oh, I know the basics. HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Well, yep, that's what I'm working on here, so that's the fun part. Alright, so we need a head. Now we need the body. And now we need to construct all the wires, just like the human body. Okay, let's see if it works. Okay. Come on, bruh. You gotta be fucking kidding me, bruh. Post. 4, 3, 2, 1. Damn it, it still looks like shit. Okay, how do I add styling then? Let's see. That doesn't look like the basics, really? I mean, it is pretty basic. Like, this is all just HTML, and then there's some Tailwind in here. And all my CSS crap is in here as well. So yeah, no. That's texting me, sorry. Yeah, but let's, we'll look at the GitHub example again. Oops, that's the stream page. All this stuff on the bottom? What do you mean? Oh, these are React components. These are just like encapsulated things for, you know, React.js. This is something else. I'm gonna convert all of this to Astro at some point. But yeah, I just need to figure out why my styles aren't working. We're gonna see real quick as to what I fucked up. So we got head, icon. Oh, is that really it? Import. Oh. Okay, is that really all I need to do? I need to import here? Uh-oh. Cannot apply unknown utility class border white smoke. Well, yeah, because I need to configure fucking Tailwind. That's why. Damn it. Alright, let's fix that. So Tailwind is configured in here. Aha. So I have basically Tailwind CSS. I told you before, it's just basically making CSS 50 times easier. But I also do have a bunch of extra shit here that I need to copy. So let's do that real quick. Where is... Hello? How do I configure Tailwind here? What the fuck? Okay. How do I configure Tailwind CSS in Astro? What? Where's my Tailwind configuration file, bro? Hold on. I've seen textbooks that taught to use HTML plus VB script instead of JS, but seems like it's getting yeeted out of existence in 2020. Yeah, bro. Isn't VB script like a Microsoft only thing, man? Doesn't that sound like a Visual Basic script? I don't remember. Okay. How to specify a config file? I think Tailwind CSS has really changed. What the fuck? Jesus. Visual Basic. Yeah, that's so old, bro. Oh my god. Okay, so it should look for one. So let's do that. Let's see if it's... What in the ever-loving hell is going on? Okay, so we got the white smoke color. I can't find it still. How do I... Okay. Oh, this is an old Tailwind CSS. Okay. Let's fix that. So on 4.1's website. Okay. Oh, man. So wait. Oh, God. They changed everything here, bruh. You're kidding me. So let me show you what I'm seeing here. Basically, my project, I believe, is on Tailwind CSS version 2. Let's see. No? Where are you? Oh, yeah, it's on Tailwind CSS 3. Right, so my current site is on Tailwind CSS 3, and we're using Tailwind CSS 4 now. So I need to... Oh, fuck me. They changed everything here. Man. Alright, I gotta upgrade my Tailwind CSS, I guess. So we're on 4. So how do I upgrade my shit? Tailwind CSS package was a post CSS plugin. The post CSS plugin lives somewhere else. Additionally, in v4, imports and vendor prefixing are now handled for you automatically, so you can remove the import. Okay. For using Vite, we can move from the post CSS plugin to the Vite plugin, which I have. Tailwind CLI now lives in a CLI package. I don't need to worry about that. Our upgrade tool will handle this automatically. So, remove the Tailwind directives, remove deprecate utilities. We'll deal with that later. How do I use a config file? Because I need to add stuff. This is really annoying. Okay, let me ask GPT and see what it says. We have the power of AI on our side. In Tailwind CSS v4, how do I handle Tailwind config.js? Let's see. It's no longer... Oh my... I'm gonna lose my mind. In Tailwind CSS v4, the way configuration works has changed significantly compared to v3. The Tailwind config.js file is no longer the default way to configure Tailwind. Instead, a CSS-first configuration approach is now the standard, but you can still use a JS file if needed. Oh, great. Okay. I guess let's try using the upgrade tool. I don't know. Let's just try it. Let's see what happens. This is probably a good thing, honestly, by integrating it more into CSS versus some random JavaScript files, but man, this just becomes super annoying. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me... Oops, wrong one. Let me just open up my KingSite package here, and let's see if we can migrate everything over. Okay. So, npx, run it. Okay, yep, sure, go ahead. Let npx do its thing. Alright, it's gonna upgrade all my shit to the new Tailwind. Okay. Oh, my CSS has been updated to... Right. Looks like everything's been successfully migrated. That's a good sign. Oh. Interesting. The post CSS contains dynamic changes... Where? I don't even need to use this, it's fine. Okay. So let's copy these files over into the Astro site. See if this works. I have no idea if it will. Oh boy, okay. Okay, at layer base. Okay, so we're gonna delete this. I'm gonna rename this to Tailwind base. Let's rename this to index.css, yeah. Okay. I think the main goal right now is just get this working, and then I'm gonna call it for the night, probably. Okay, so this has to be inside styles. So let's fix that. Did it work? Please tell me it worked. No! Okay. Oh wait, I'm not even showing it. Oh wait, it did work. Wait, what the fuck? Huh? Okay. Well, let's try it, I guess. See if it worked. Three, two, one. Let's see. Oh, fuck it hell. Oh, wait, so... An error occurred, so the error is that it can't resolve one level higher. Is there something that I... Oh, okay, so it's styles, SRC. Okay, so... Oh, I'm in the wrong project, hold up. So we're currently in styles. We're gonna want to go out to here. So this is going out of SRC. Okay, so we're gonna fix that. So let's do... two ... slashes. We're gonna do two relative paths. Please work. Yeah, there we go. Kind of. Then that bar's gone. Yeah, there we go. Hell yeah, guys, it worked. It worked. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh my god, that took way too fucking long to configure. Also, the font looks like shit. But it worked. Oh my fucking god, dude. And the animations work too. Let's go. Also, this arrow button. You see how I hover over it changes? Nice. Okay, so we got one thing working, which is the main index page. Fuck yeah. Thank God. I was actually gonna lose my mind, dude. Oh my god. But yeah, I think... Yeah, it's pretty late. I think this is a good point to stop. Right? We talked about a lot today. We talked a lot about Windows. We talked a lot about AI and cancer. We looked at Maddie's articles that she forwarded me. I always appreciate it. We also talked about the website. So let me just switch back to the chatting thing. But yeah, you guys were great. It's always nice talking to you. I'm glad to have this little decompression session at the end of the week. I'll be streaming tomorrow night as well. So keep a lookout for that. Same time, same place. You know where to find me. Again, if you guys want to, find all my social links, just go here. You could also go to the Monami link. Actually, all Monami socials are here. I actually need to update that command. Don't go anywhere though. We're gonna raid someone, so you can see what their content is. You can also join my Discord. If you guys aren't in there, why not? Why aren't you in there? Are you stupid? I'm kidding. Yeah, join Discord. It's a nice place, little small community. I mean, all that says 2,000 members. The streaming side of the Discord is, very small, very close knit, very tight, and we're all chill, so yeah, don't worry about that. There we go. Let's configure my Monami here. But yeah, it was very nice talking with you guys. It was very nice chilling. Let's currently find someone to raid and see if I can do anything. Inaria is streaming, Luto is streaming. Let's see if there's anyone that... I always like looking in the software and game dev category to see if there's any VTubers streaming, or if there's someone that's just like, seems pretty cool to work with. A lot of game code right now. Oh, who are you? Let me see this. It's a game developer here. Oh my god, fucking ads. See, this is why I hate Twitch ads, because when I'm trying to raid someone, the fucking ads show up, which sucks. Do you guys hate this too? Or no, or is it just me? I'm trying to say this person's an AI VTuber or an actual VTuber, bro. Fuck me. Oh my god, man. Oh, this person's legit. Okay, we're gonna raid her. I hate ads, so yeah, you're not Turbo. Shut up. I know you're rich like that. The one thing okay, anyways. So we're gonna put up a raid. It's working. Yay, let's go. Nice. Okay, so it was nice chatting with y'all. I really enjoyed the stream today. Pull up tomorrow. We're gonna be talking about a few other articles, interesting stuff in general. I'm very happy that I'm able to stream tomorrow as well. And then, come join my Discord, come hang out, view the socials, and we're gonna try and get the Astro thing working as well. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.